spring water when I do this show. Ben.
Yeah.
It's your good luck.
Yeah.
I think it's your white socks that really make you dapper.
Right? The podiatrist.
Like,
Army
you're
podiatrist.
like, this is like the clothing mullet. Like, is this on the top? White socks on the
Shorts
bottom.
on the bottom.
The clothing mullet.
Clothing.
Calling mullet. That's a new one.
I'm actually gonna use that.
Yeah.
It's the guy he
It's
like.
it's my army podiatrist. He's like, you ever want to get rid of the freaking trench foot, man? You gotta like get away from colored
You
socks.
have to wear.
You
I
gotta
mean,
wear
is
white
it-
socks.
That's it.
And there's like a special nail polish you have to put on your nails too
I don't want to know if you do that.
to kill the fungus.
Well, what's up, guys?
Give it time.
I'm Rob Cologne.
Are we on now?
Oh, we're on. Yeah, I was.
Shit, I was talking about my nail polish.
I was listening. No, it was about your white socks.
Oh yeah,
So,
Yeah.
I'm Rob Cologne,
I am Chuck fucking Davis.
and we have a special guest with us tonight.
Yep.
You're better off introducing him.
It's
You know,
my very very good friend, old army buddy Ben Cully, honorary uncle to Kiera.
oh, nice.
True.
She's got like
I've seen her since she was hatched. She was
Since-
the size of a little squirrel.
Not much has
Literally.
changed.
yeah, no,
She
yeah,
was
no.
just yittle.
What year was that?
That was Key. When were you born? 97. I'm
I was
joking.
going to say like 97. 98, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and then when did you guys serve together? What year was that?
Same year.
So you guys were in 97 together.
Yeah.
Yep, like 96, 97, 98, somewhere in that time
Something
frame.
that time frame. Yeah. I think I only ended up doing about 2 years that rotation because, well, you know, the ex-wife lost her mind and I had to take custody of my daughter. And
Yep. Yep.
Raise her by myself.
Oh my gosh, are we going back through this again?
Yeah.
Like you're literally complaining like because you made the decision to make your kid a priority. Sounds to me like you need to look at your priorities like, hanging out with my buddies, staying in the military, raising my daughter.
You're right. I could have taken her to an
I mean,
orphanage.
I tried to advise you otherwise, but you're like,
I
that's
know.
my daughter. I can't just leave her at the house while we go hang out.
See, I told you. Look, Beth is gonna yell now. Look, you forgot to take
No.
the sheet off the couch.
We didn't. He said something before we went live. I swear to God he did, but I'm like, no, it's all right.
The cool part of it is it matches his socks.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about right when we went live.
What?
So I'm Italian, and I don't know if it's just an Italian thing, but everyone I know that's Italian, we always wear black socks and
That's not healthy. That's not good for you, Rob.
black socks.
No, it's not.
Because in gym class, like when I was younger, I'd be wearing my sneakers and have like black dress socks on. And they're like, what's up with this kid? It's like, it's a heritage thing. I can't do nothing about it. You know what I mean?
We totally would have picked on you.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
What about rolling the socks down? Remember that? Was that ever a thing
that was-
for you
that
guys? Where
was-
you roll
that
those
was-
down?
No, you know what actually became a thing when I was younger?
You mean
And-
like you're talking
Good
about making
Lord.
you're talking about making elf shoes, right?
I was just deciding where your socks stop and your legs start.
You should just start
know, like-
wearing beige socks.
Are you using bleach on your skin?
No, what do you mean?
No, you
Come
know
on
what?
now.
You know what kids my age used to do? So they used to actually pull their sock.
There you go.
If it was too long, they would pull it halfway off their foot and then fold the
elf shoes.
extra under their foot and then put
Oh
their
yeah.
shoes on.
Yep. I've seen that.
You've seen that?
I was told. You
That's
know
just
why I was
crazy.
told that kids would do that?
Are we
Was-
frozen or are we going?
Oh no, we're good.
Are we?
Yeah.
It looks like we're frozen.
So I was actually told
Oh,
kids
that's-
would do that, rolling the socks over, is because a lot of times they were from low-income families. They would buy shoes that were too big for their feet, so their feet could grow into it.
Yeah.
So they would fold the socks over in their tip to fill the space up and the void in their shoe.
And keep it from like creasing and stuff.
It would keep from creasing, but then their feet could grow into it. Yep. Yep.
See what happens when you grow up, Paul?
And well, though, this is the other thing. It's you're the oldest. You have siblings, but you're the
It's true.
oldest.
Yep.
You've never had to worry
You got
about
all the new
hand-me-down.
shit.
Yeah.
I did.
You got to wear
That's right.
everything.
In fact, I totally remember making fun of my brother. For one,
I wore those jeans last year.
like the elastic pants, it had like the elastic in the waist, so you know you were growing so fast.
Break the crotch out of them.
Oh,
And
I used to call him rubber band pants in school, and he would get so mad. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's like a physicist now. He's 1,000 times smarter than I am. But I had the best make fun of my little brother.
See what happens when you pick on them?
Oh, rubber band
They
pants.
achieve
Clark.
great things.
Rubber band pants. Remember you wearing them.
Yo, what's up,
There's
mom?
your mom.
So, if you
I
ever
thought you were
talk,
saying that was my mom. Like, oh, on here? Like, what are you talking to my
how
mom
would she
for?
know? Yeah.
She'd been hitting
Don't
on
let
me, Ben.
Mama Cully. What?
She'd have been hitting on me.
I'm telling
She'd
you.
been like, "Hi,
Listen,
Charles."
if there is no one from my military and ever experience Then my mom talks about your friend Charlie. He's so funny. I just love watching him and listen to the funny things that he just says. My mom, like, you're married. My dad hear this, right?
It's like, Mom, I'm funny too. Come on. It's like, yeah, you're all right.
She's like, he just comes up with the craziest stuff to say. I don't know that she really talks like that, but the mental picture that everyone has right now, she does kind of have that.
She seems
Yeah,
like a
your
sweetheart.
average mom voice.
I was kind of upset when I was out there picking up the puppy. I didn't get to meet them. I would've
She
loved
was
to know.
upset too. She wanted to meet you, and I was like, okay, this is still creeping me out right now. Like,
It's 2021.
You're married to my dad. Like, if you're gonna come over and visit my friend, you got to bring my dad. Like, but he's saying so funny.
That is a very it's not Catholic, it's a very Christian thing, and I found out this later in life that if you're married, that either a significant other or another person has to be in a room with you. And it's so weird because like years ago I got involved with the church.
Well, that's most Muslim women can't even leave the house.
Right.
Cousin-
No, we know how strict that can be,
Yeah.
but I'm saying even just like your standard Bible Belt Christianity, you know what I mean? There could be like a married woman and she's in the pantry of the church and she's doing something, and if you walk in there as a guy and you stay there longer than X amount of time, it's deemed inappropriate. Like,
I think some of it has. It's probably more close to the line of like it's just about respect. It's. I think that, with anything, there's probably an excessive. You can take anything and it can be driven into an extreme.
Yeah.
And obviously, in anything, but I think that in my experiences with what I've seen with people, it's more of being seen as a team, being with your spouse, being seen as a team.
or even to just avoid the situation that could present itself at some point. At least having that extra person there for accountability, or you know what I mean.
Because we all know what the complete opposite of that extreme is. And that is when you're away from your spouse, and how you act or the demeanor that you carry is that you're not married.
Yeah.
So, I think that
Like coming
I
back
think if you've
from-
got to pick one side or other of the line to stand on, if having your spouse present when you're in mixed company is, what the two of you. Now, if it's done out of like brute force, you're forced to do this, and that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And again,
But you can kind of tell though, like you can tell when a couple has that forced. All right, you're with me. You're not going anywhere. We're going to the movies. We're going to the bar. I'm gonna chain you 3 feet away from me. You can't.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can kind of pick that up from certain people.
See, now I think in my own personal relationship, like with my wife, I always say like she's pretty enough that like when we're out together, they think either I'm like her disabled nephew or like,
Who's
is
this
this
bridge
weird guy
troll?
chasing you, ma'am? Like, is
he bothering you?
Law enforcement? Like, why is that guy breathing on your neck?
He must be high on the wealth scale.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
she's blind, which you know what I mean. Like,
She
could
does. Yeah.
You could have her
She
walk
doesn't wear
around with a rainbow
glasses.
candy cane.
Have her do what?
Walk around with a candy cane stick.
it's not a candy cane. It's a cane.
They're red and white. They're red and white.
Are they?
Yeah. They're the same color as our
No.
aiming poles. Yeah.
I mean, it's got a red tip on the end.
It
of
does,
the
yeah,
cane.
okay, it does have a
It's
tip.
not really a candy cane. That's more of like what elves and Santa
every-
Claus would
It's
be
not
doing.
like a spiral.
I think that would
We
be
have we
a
have a
local
guy.
man faking that he's blind with a candy cane gets hit on a road. Weird thing was he could see, but why he had a candy cane?
Because he was dedicated. You know,
He
like
thought he was going to get a good parking
The
space.
two guys that come into the clinic, theirs are candy cane colored, man. I shit you
Like
not.
colored
They're
or
red,
striped?
They're red, white, striped.
Okay.
They look just
But
like
they're-
our aiming poles.
you know what though?
Remember the aiming poles?
Right.
And,
But when I think of candy cane, I think of a.
Yeah, the
no,
swirl.
no, it wasn't a
Look at this
swirl.
guy, he's really
no, it's
festive.
Like,
Yeah.
red,
It's
white,
not even
red,
Thanksgiving
white.
yet, and he's already got the candy cane. Like,
It's like what technically
covered
it's
in
like
lights.
he's blind, so I mean he doesn't know. It could be anything, you know, whatever.
This fucking jackass pushing the holidays.
So yeah, I mean, hey, listen, Halloween just ended.
Seriously, man,
unfortunately.
give us some time. We gotta recover.
I do have. Oh, Mom, if you just go back to the beginning, we introduced him, but it's one of Chuck's army friends,
Old army buddy of mine from way back.
And every time we talk to someone that is served or is serving, I always want to ask the same question, like, what made you want to serve? Because it's like you have the people.
I think it's really simple.
Really, like
I was too dumb for college.
that's always
Right?
one of the
So I
reasons,
was
but we
like,
don't say it like that.
I'm
Reverend.
like, I don't know that.
But we don't like to say it like that, though, because even so, the army eventually, military pays for college, so like you can serve and then still go.
Don't let him sell you on all that bullshit. He's from the Midwest.
No, it's
There
true.
was a patriotic eyedropper there somewhere.
That's right. I
Come
seen
on,
that Rambo movie, and I was like,
fucking
yes!
gotta get me some of
I
that.
want to bite a fish in half.
I want to kill 5
wanna be
people with
tougher
one
than
pocket
nails.
knife.
Well, did you have anyone else in your family serve, like your
Yeah.
parents? Okay.
So I'm like, oh man, I've had family serve in just about every single conflict since the United States stood up.
Jesus. Okay.
So my dad, my dad served, my grandpa served, and then the generations beyond that.
And you're the oldest of all the
He's
siblings.
exactly
so.
like Lieutenant Dan.
Yes, exactly.
Like-
If there's anything, the first thing that comes to your mind that I probably would remind you of, it's a
the whole
man with
snake-
long hair and a beard and a wheelchair on a shrimping boat. So, literally, if you could find,
I just
me a
caught
reason-
you at like the wrong time. That's what it seems like. You know?
It's yeah.
There's been a
it's-
cully in every war since.
Yeah, you know what though?
Well, that's my family too. Same thing.
why can't I get associated with somebody like Jason Statham, like a good looking?
I'm sorry, man. You're stuck
Yeah,
with
look
me,
at that
brother.
guy.
Stuck
No.
with me.
You look like Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump.
But you don't look like him at all. If you want to tell the story that
Again,
way,
so
like
this is
what-
why I'm saying. When
No,
I meet
you don't
my
look
wife,
like
they're
him.
like, "Is this man harassing you, sir?"
Everybody's seen the Forrest Gump movie, and there's a whole snaglet where he's like, there had been Lieutenant. What was Lieutenant Dan's last name?
fuck if
I
know.
forget what he said.
It's not
Had
Jeopardy,
died
yeah.
in every war since the Revolutionary War. Remember?
Yeah,
And
I
they
do
show all the
remember that.
different. They show Lieutenant Dan's face, but like on like
Yeah, just like superimposed
like
on like
five
older and
different-
older. Yeah, yeah, I
five
do.
different uniformed guys.
So I got my little nephew. So funny army stories. My little nephew. I've got this wedding band that I wear, which is camouflage, which is really cool in itself. Except for it was also on sale for like $2. And normally these
What?
cheap rubber rings are like $30. I was like $2. That's a good deal. And it's
Can you
camouflage.
throw that wherever you got that from. Throw that at Beth.
Throw it.
Beth,
Throw my ring at your
What?
wife or your girlfriend.
throw
I'm not sure that works. That's
wherever
not
you
good.
got that. $2, man.
I don't even know where I got it. It was someplace, probably like the discount rubber ring store or something. But anyway,
Oh yeah, right on the outskirts
but
of
anyway,
town.
my
yeah.
little nephew, he's looking at that
Next to
thing.
the Singer Sewing Center.
He's like, "Wow, Ben." He's like, "You gotta, your ring is camouflage." He's like, "I bet you need that. So if you were in the woods hiding from a bad guy, they wouldn't
wouldn't-
see your wedding ring." And I was like,
Or they wouldn't know you're married. Yeah,
"Yeah."
yeah.
I'm like, "That's exactly it. That's what I deal with."
But that's the opposite of what you would want, though. Be like, look, you can't kill me. I'm married. I have a wife to go home to. Where it's like, yeah, I'm not married. You can,
I don't know
I'm
typically-
expendable.
I don't know typically if you're in an environment where someone's trying to kill you that you really have time for a lot of like, conversations like, "Hey, please don't shoot me."
You never gotten to know your enemy? Sometimes
Well, I
it's
mean, I
good to
don't
have
know
a
that-
conversation with them. You put them at 35 degrees. You put a towel over their head. Just ask them some questions. Get to know them. Get to know their
We're
family.
not asking about the dating scene. We're asking about the military. Like, we want to know,
Yeah. So I guess you were on Farmers Only.
Wait, is that still going?
I have no idea.
I can't.
I have no idea.
Your mom's asking if we both have PTSD from our experiences. The only PTSD I have is from my ex-wife, which Ben is very familiar with that situation.
Well,
I don't have any other PTSD.
I wanna preface it by saying, like, I don't know if it'd be just the nicest thing to ask someone if they have PTSD, Mom. Like, hey, do you have night terrors? Do you scream about
Hey,
cobras?
could you go ahead and just walk me back through what was the most horrific experience in your life that basically, pretty much made you have difficulty?
Have
for
you
the rest
ever
of-
felt anybody's brain suddenly out of their skull and slap you in the face?
But listen,
that
but
ever
I'm
happen?
interested because I want to know, but I don't just outright ask. But I do want to know, like, the percentage of people who served, how many people are gonna walk away with PTSD, and it's not a new thing. Okay, they just changed the name of it. George Carlin even said it used to be called shell shock at one point, and it was called, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always been around. It's just now in the last, I'd say 20, 25 years, this is what we call it.
Yep.
Well, society has really taken it and stretched the meaning way out. And they've done that so that they could cover a multitude of people, a multitude of situations, and of course they can sell more medications. But if you ask me what traditional PTSD would be, you would have to be exposed to some seriously tragic shit for an extended period of time. You don't get in a car accident and then say, "Oh my God, I got PTSD. I can't work the rest of my life. I need medication." Yada yada yada.
So you're saying
just
not one
you're just
single incident.
Yeah, no. If you think you have PTSD because of like a car accident, you know what I'm saying.
well,
Or something like-
traumatizing-
I'm going to say I probably got a different opinion on that. In my opinion,
Yeah.
I think there's two kinds of things that I see. So one of the things in my civilian job, we do a lot of work with like first responders and things like that who have dealt with some mental health things. And I think there can be either you maybe were subject to one singular traumatic event, and that could have been some type of sexual abuse. It could have been seeing a friend hurt. It could have been a car accident. Could have been anything. as well as then there's also cumulative events. So you think of a state trooper who, constantly is out seeing and being exposed
almost becomes
to
desensitized to
Yeah.
like just seeing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so your mind has a mode that in crisis it goes into to protect itself from being exposed to these things. So one of the things they found even with like veterans is you'll see this veteran who maybe is a double or quadruple amputee, and you're like, man, this guy just climbed Mount Everest and he's all prosthetic, and how in the world is he doing that? But here's another individual who maybe has all of his limbs and maybe had some far less maybe considered trauma, and this person's really struggling to keep their ship afloat, and you're thinking, how does this person who had this incredibly horrific experience, how is it they're still kicking butt at life and they're doing all these great things and they're just really on top of the world even post tragedy? And then here's someone else who maybe has had something. And so one of the things that they have found is that when you get exposed to an instant thing, so examples like an IED, your mind actually compartmentalizes itself to not have some of that trauma actually sink in, where in something less dramatic, something a little less critical, your mind doesn't flip into that protective mode and allows you to be a little exposed. And here's an example. If you are driving down the highway and you see someone on the side of the road choking, or you see them fall over on the side of the road, and you decide you're going to have to do CPR on them, you're going to be nervous for a moment until you start that CPR, and then you're going to kind of go into a zone, and you're going to work on it, because to you, you're helping that person. But that's not your dad, your husband, your spouse. Where the other person who maybe witnessed that, that is their dad, their spouse, their person, their kid. All that emotion, that environment's incredibly different for the two of you. So as a first responder, being able to stay into that zone helps protect your mind. That's how you can day in and day out go into probably what for many people could be the most traumatic, horrific thing they've ever experienced.
Just another day on the job.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think in some folks, that's where PTSD actually gets you, is something in that environment causes your mind to let that defense down. And for some reason that is why that sticks with you. And it's figuring out how to process through that environment. So, the same thing that PTSD is a deep piece that runs in people who've had, been a victim of some kind of sexual trauma or sexual assault. And again, you see that especially when it's been from somebody that they know, where that compartmentalization wasn't able to happen, and then they're emotionally exposed to it, and then you don't know how to process that. So anytime you have something that reminds you of that incident, it brings that information back up, so
that you weren't even ready for in the first place.
Yep. Right.
And
So
I think that has, like earlier I was talking about perspective, and this is just like
Yeah.
the perspective of what we see.
Well, I kind of have a counter perspective to what he said, in that I appreciate everything that he said, because I believe that's true. And I believe the brain does shut off like that. I think where some of the chief differences comes in is in the actual mental strength of the individual. So you have other people like me and you, might be a lot more mentally stronger than the average, let's say, snowflake.
Yeah.
So the least little thing could happen to the average, snowflake nowadays, and they're going to be traumatized over that shit. And they're going to legitimately feel like they are traumatized.
So what
And
does
to a certain extent, maybe you do have to cater to that, but that's something they really should get over.
But what does the military do to prepare you guys for these traumas that the average person who would go through isn't prepared for? Like, how do you prepare somebody? Like, you guys are getting shipped
Train
off.
like you
know
fight.
what I mean?
So I think one of the things, like in some of the training that we've had to do, so I've got to work with some of the mental health stuff. Again, like I said, kind of focused towards emergency services. And I think there's kind of two approaches. Is one, did you have an exposure to something that you may most likely not have to face again? So I give the example. Say you've got a military member, was downrange in a previous conflict, was exposed to some kind of horrific tragedy. They're out of the military now, but this, they're still reliving this thing. It's still jamming it. It's still taking their lunch money from them.
Mm-hmm.
There is programs, and there's a process to help work through that type of trauma, where maybe you have someone else who's still in the environment. So it's still a cumulative thing where, the cop who's still got to go back out on the job, he's still got to continue. He now needs tools to be able to go to that next car accident or to that next shooting and have tools, because for the say in this circumstance, that service member who's come back, they're not going to have to go back to war. You know, if they're out of the military, they need the tools to figure out how to put to rest whatever this thing is, you know, that's still hanging on to them.
Put that baby to bed and move on with your life.
There's another different set of tools that if you have someone who, you know, has to go back downrange or has to go back, you know, and put the uniform back on to address it. And one of the things that's interesting is it's understanding how to process and why specific events are what triggered it. Why is, if you had an experience, so say when you were a kid, your dad constantly beat you. You know, so why is it as an adult, you know, when you're at your place of work and another coworker says a certain word, like it just takes you right back to that spot. It's figuring out what is the connection, and then figuring out how to help you, you know, understand and work through that connection, that you can start to put to rest that experience and be able to know that in the future, you know, that this is a trigger word or this is a space that, you know, I know that gets me. And so what is the military doing? One of the things we know, you know, Vietnam taught us, not talking about it doesn't help at all. Yeah. And if we learned anything from the Vietnam folks was what happens when you don't talk about those things, and that's
when you try to
disgrace.
When you try to self-medicate, and how both those things are a serious mistake, and that how if you really need the freaking help, don't be so fucking proud. Because I got to tell you one problem that I've always seen in the infantry, and we're both in the infantry, is if you hurt something, you know, you hurt your knee, you hurt your back, this, that, or the other thing, there's an underlying kind of thing that it's taboo to go to the medics or to seek help for that fucking injury, because everybody in platoon is going to be saying, they're calling you a broke dick, you know, they're calling you profile,
all kinds of good terms,
you know, all kinds of good shit to fucking break you down, make you feel like you're a piece of shit because you honestly physically got fucking hurt, so you never go to sick call.
Yeah.
Now 20 years later, when you're out of the army and that knee comes back to haunt you,
you're debating,
and you try to go back to get surgery or to get this fucking knee taken care of, you know, then the VA says, well, you know, we're not seeing any history of it, so we're not going to take care of that for you. And whereas if you would have been like, you know what, fuck you guys, I'm going to the medics, I'll be back tomorrow.
Right.
That's all you got to do. Get some documentation,
there's a balance.
Care.
There's a time and place where, you know, take a knee, drink some water, and keep on stepping. Like, there's a time and place that you need that. It's figuring out the time and place where you gotta. That's not going to work. You know. Right. Now, again, when you're in an environment where it's mission. Not, and I give the example. You know, these. You know, when you go through basic training. And let's say 99% of everyone standing there, boots are correct, uniform is correct, and the one person who
the one shitbag
who didn't have their lace tucked in,
you fucking
or it
shit
wasn't
bag.
Shined enough, or it wasn't just
that one person, everybody got in trouble for that. Instead of, you know, and in if that was in a civilian sector, you'd probably like, hey, everyone, great job. Mm-hmm. And you try and oust the person by not recognizing them in that group. Right. But in basic training, it said everyone's getting smoked. You're getting push-ups because of this one individual. And part of that is
the old Gomer Pyle.
Because when you are in an environment where you have to do maybe what could be considered an impossible operation or mission, you have to have that attention to detail. Mm-hmm. The backside of that is how do you decompress from, you know, those experiences? How do you have more than take a knee, drink some water when you're going through these things? And one of the things I talk about is, it's interesting, I seen a chart and it talked about the amount of emotions. If you asked a man to describe the amount of emotions they typically feel, and I forget the exact number, but I mean, it was like 8 or 10 emotions. And I always say, like, it's basically like happy, hungry, horny, angry, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty much anything that you experience in a day, either happy, angry, horny, or you're hungry.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? But you know, they did the same interview, and they sit down and they talk with women, and you know, and women had an incredible array of different emotions that they could pick from. And one of the things then is, you know, as a man or as someone who's been exposed to something that's very traumatic, and especially when you come from a culture that's, you know, drink water, take a knee, how do you go and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. I feel weak. You know, this hurt. You know, this broke me, or I feel guilty that, you know, I came through the doorway and I went right. Mm-hmm. And my buddy who went left got shot and killed when I normally am the guy that goes left. That should have been me that day. Yeah. So how do you you know,
That yeah.
how do you
see,
sit down in front of another group of men? And so that's one of the things that, you know, is having a culture. And I think that, you know, when we always talk to folks, I'm a big believer actually in the VA's mental health program, just because unfortunately the VA has got such a source-rich environment to figure out what programs do or don't work. And I'm not saying it's a flawed, perfect thing, but I do think because for those type of groups and those type of personalities, generally speaking, that's a very rich resource field.
I think it's better to have them around. For the people out there who are like, oh, it's better to put those resources elsewhere. I don't believe that. I do believe the VA tries. I do believe they are tied by the red tape.
Well, listen.
You know what I mean?
Well,
it
the
kind
other
of
thing,
sucks.
the other
but
thing too with the VA is it works like this. You know, it's like any other instrument. You know, for me, when I was in, pretty much the rule of thumb between do you go to the medics or not is, okay, is there a gashing wound? Are you bleeding?
Right.
Is there a bone sticking out of a leg? No? Okay, drive on with a heart on. You know what I mean? And I think that's the general mentality of everybody. So you take that group of people and you put them in a situation where they're feeling something. They're feeling a certain kind of way. It's hard to get them to talk about anything.
yeah.
I like, one of my favorite programs at the VA is when they do the groups. Because all of a sudden, the same guys that used to sit around with you at lunch watching Jerry Springer, you know what I'm saying, in the barracks, right?
Yeah.
And busting your ass for the silliest, simplest fucking thing. All of a sudden, they're telling you, look, man, it's all right that you feel that way.
Yep.
It's all right that happened to you. We're here now.
Yeah.
We're fucking here now.
I think the
So,
people who are
we wanna
out
work
of it
that out.
compared to the people who are active may see it a little different. You know what I mean? Like people who
Well,
are
when
so
you're
actively
active, dude,
it.
you're in a totally different
Yeah.
fucking mindset, and there's just no way to get around it. Look, you have a job to do, and it really is. There is kind of an underlying bully culture to it. That if you step out of line, you say the wrong thing, or you don't do something to par, and everybody else pays for it, or you feel a little bit sensitive or this, that, and the other thing. If you cause anything that causes your fellow brothers to have doubt in you, that's when you officially become the shitbag.
But here's
Because at the end of the day, you have to know that everybody, that if you're going through the door, I'm going through the door, we're all going with the same enthusiasm.
oh yeah.
We're all going watching each other's fucking back.
And like here, I hate to use this term. I absolutely do. But even outside of a militaristic point of view, this could also be seen as like a manly thing. Where, because of my dad, he came off the boat from Italy. He's very stern, and like even at John's, I've been there 4.5 years. I never once called out sick. I've been sick. I never missed work. And is this what they're referring to when they say toxic masculinity? Is this this mindset?
So, I've talked to. I want to say it's just toxic. I mean, sure, maybe stereotypically it does lean at being more men, but I've sit and listened in, for ladies talk about things that they have had, been exposed to or trauma that they've been through. So I know that, it affects both genders, absolutely. I think probably some of these gender, like you said, some of these professions historically have been more biased as having more men in them.
Right.
So from maybe a broad statement, but do I think that it, affects men, more than women? No, I think that it seems like, both sides have had, these experiences, and it's something that it's unfortunate because it's not obvious. It's really, if you see that individual missing a leg, it's really clear to go, oh well, I can see why this person's struggling with these things, or I can see their sacrifice that they made. But it's when you see the individual who looks, acts fine, maybe he's even capable of holding a normal job.
Yeah.
Like, eh?
And that then further makes it even more difficult because that person feels a lot of guilt. Like, here I'm crying because I'm having a hard time over something, that maybe wasn't the most traumatic thing I ever did. And I think of a friend who, probably had been in some pretty intense scenarios, and the scenario that really seems to bother him is not something. He's like, I've been in way worse stuff than this. I've been in, way harder things where I was.
So why can't I deal with this?
So so what's wrong with me? So there's this guilt. What is wrong with me that is making this maybe less significant scenario? I can't sleep at night. And
I feel that all the time. I feel that because I've been through way worse in my life, and something will come up, and it's like, dude, you've been through so much. Like, this is nothing. But, like, what is even putting that doubt in your head in the first place?
And I think that's part of what, I think one of the ladies here was asking, like, what can you do? So that's one of the things that I do think getting actual is, I think there's definitely a value in a group environment.
I like the groups.
But you have, in my opinion, depending on where you're at, getting to a group, if you are not, if you're closer to crisis, sometimes getting into the group is good about helping you bring out some of those, I've heard the term, letting the demon out of the box, but you've got to have the tools to put it back in. So what happens is someone, someone shows up to a group, and the group, makes you feel comfortable and you want to let this thing out. But the thing of it is do you have the tools to put it back? So
you don't want to be waking up a sleeper cell.
Basically.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson was telling him,
that was when Mike Tyson.
He was telling him, he's like, I cry before every fight.
Mike Tyson.
And he's like, you cry before every fight? He's like, yeah, I cry before every fight. He's like, why would you cry before every fight? And Mike Tyson says, this is what he said. He said, because I'm afraid of the fighter. And he talked about himself as the fighter and the boxer as in the second person.
He's talking third person.
Do you know what I'm saying? So he's almost like the Incredible Hulk and Banner.
Yep.
And how he doesn't want to ever turn into the Hulk, and he hates it when he does it, and then when he needs him, he can't call him and stuff like that.
And not being able to control it.
He would go through this emotional trip every time he knew that he had to do it. He had to step up and he had to perform. He had to become a fucking killer in a goddamn ring. Like, he had to be out for fucking blood. There is nothing else but blood. And it would fucking fill him with so much anxiety that he would fucking cry like a baby.
So when you're active...
And then he would go out there and fucking murder motherfuckers.
And when you're active and you're infantry and that's what's expected of you, not for 3 minute, 5 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds, like on a day-to-day... Wake up and do that every day. And then you wonder why people end up having PTSD.
Every time you go out the gate, the gate with the little sign on it that says lock and load. I don't know, have you ever been on a post, like a forward observation post, and they have those signs on there? Because they have them...
Step outside the door.
Yeah, because they have them come in the opposite direction when you're coming back in. They're like, lock and clear your weapon.
You got the little barrel.
And you got the little barrel there. Yeah. And then, like, when you're leaving the gate...
Times I got used.
Yeah. And then when you leave the gate, it's...
What was the
there's
barrel
always
for?
a sign there that was like,
clear your weapon. So in case you had a round in there.
So unlike Alec Baldwin,
I was gonna
what
say
you do...
I was gonna say, but this is...
You drop the magazine, you pull it back, you look in the chamber, you make sure
yeah.
it's blank, you ride it forward while you're pointing at the barrel. All right, you're clear.
I think there's another thing, is that I think of an example, and this is an own personal example. I had an incident on an individual some time back. It was for a call for a gentleman who had drowned, and we went out, and I was part of the dive team, and we didn't find the gentleman that night. And I remember, like, I had this difficulty in thinking, man, how we found this guy, and we were there. So there is a potential for there to be life within a certain amount of minutes of submersion, depending on temperatures and factors.
Sure.
Like, we're not talking like great scenario here.
Yeah.
And we were there within that window of what could have been potentially a viable life, and we were not able to find the guy in time. And that evening, we had to go back. Once it gets dark and things like that, and resume work the next day. And I remember, that night, I had a rough time thinking about feeling like a failure, feeling like, man, how we worked harder or went faster, or maybe we're trained a little. Like, you come up with all kinds of reasoning, right? And so I remember, the next day we went out, we did our thing, we got the gentleman, we were able to at least give the family closure, which is a huge piece, in emergency services, just being able to provide that closure. And I can't even imagine what it would be like for that family to have had to go to sleep that night wondering, is there some chance this, my family member's still alive or whatever. So anyway, that like ate my breakfast and lunch and supper for a long time.
Now, see, here's where I feel like a weak bitch in this instant. And I'm not necessarily a weak man.
You're wearing white socks. That says...
With the suit.
Your strength right there.
With the suit.
My army podiatrist said to do that. If I want to get rid of the trench foot for the fifth fucking time.
Punch on anyone because they'd be like, "Is this dude with white
Is
socks
he for
about
fucking real?
is he
Uppercut.
about to stomp me?"
Buddy
You
blow.
just need
buddy
to wear
blow.
longer pants. That's it.
Or tuck your
But no,
pants
dude.
into the white socks.
Honestly, sometimes I'll lay in my bed and I can't get to fucking sleep over something as fucking stupid as a last conversation I had throughout the day. And, oh, man, I hope they don't think this about that. I really meant this, and I hope they get that. And then here it is, you got to take something like that to bed with you.
So you know, there's definitely no competition in if something's eating your lunch and something's eating this. Like
It's
never
happening.
it's never who.
Bet you said you guys look like my bodyguards.
Oh man, you need better bodyguards.
Yeah.
If that's the case. Like hopefully I don't have to run.
Beth, what you don't understand is the fact that the guy sitting in the middle is probably the deadliest of all three of these gentlemen.
You ever seen the movie Taken? We would be the movie Given. Like that here. Just like,
Yeah, absolutely.
don't hurt us. Take him.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you always have the element of surprise when you're being judo chopped by a man in white athletic socks and business pants.
I will.
No one's gonna see that coming.
I will fuck you up.
I'll tell you. So it's kind of like what Bruce Lee did for the Asian community in the 70s when his movies came out and like Bruce Lee took off his shirt and they saw like he was ripped and he was like kicking people's ass, and then people started like looking at Asians in America a little different. Like maybe I shouldn't mess with this. You know what I mean? So listen, I've learned plenty of valuable lessons about picking on people your own size.
So I guess the thing I want to finish on about that thing, that story was that, you know, somebody, you know, we sat down, like I said, and they have different folks to help deconflict some of these things. And the thing that bothered me was the guilt that I felt like, hey, you know, I could have, if I'd have done something different, if I would have done this, the outcome would have been different. So it's called the if then that theory. And you sit and think, well, if I would have went right this time, then that would have been a different outcome. And so, you know, it was neat when they kind of reflected it back, like, you know, realistically, had you shown up and everything would have went perfect, and you found this individual,
Yeah.
and it just would have went textbook. Clinically, do you think that this person would have just jumped up, gave you a hug, because that's how you're treating this environment, that you were a professional, you did the very best that you could. You're beating yourself up over something that could possibly not even be like an anomaly of a possibility.
Right.
So, you know, same thing for the guy that says, hey, I went left in this doorway, my buddy went right, and had I went right, I would have been shot instead of him. And so then you let that fester and you live with that guilt, when the reality of it is maybe you would have went right. That doesn't mean everything else would have lined up where it would have been you.
Right.
So it's
Maybe
that
you're a
kind
little
of like,
shorter and it would have went over your head or something.
So
I mean,
it really turns into, you know, it's kind of like a thinking error. It's the way that you rationalize thing that, man, if I'd have just done, you know, in a failed relationship, well, if I would have just done this, right? And so then you find yourself defeating yourself because, well, if I would have just did one more thing or
But
whatever.
and the thing is, though, you don't know, and that you can't justify it. You can say if I did this, or maybe if this happened, but you can't go back in time and practice that. So even getting hung up on that isn't even worth it. You know what I mean? And it's funny because, like I mentioned earlier last week, we talked about what is to be offended, and then this week I talked about perspective. And I do want to bring up, so like Alec Baldwin shot somebody accidentally. I will say, for a person who is so anti-gun, to take someone's life with a gun, I don't. A lot of people made jokes about it, and like
I'm still making jokes about it.
I see the humor in it, but what I don't see the humor in is now this guy who has been an asshole throughout. It's not like he was a great person. This happened. Alec Baldwin is not a great person. He has a history of being an asshole. But to take someone's life in the way he did, completely accidental. I watched the interview on Inside Edition where this lady was like, 30 years ago, I ran over a 6-year-old while backing out of my driveway.
I heard that story.
And
I heard
it haunts her every day.
Right.
Now, if Alec wanted to take the road of becoming even more of an anti-gun activist, and like, I swear, and I'll never pick up any other weapon in any other of my movies, and we need to make this illegal, and it's like, so now what you're doing is you took a belief that you had and a tragedy that happened, and you're trying to put them together to do something that you believe is right.
Well, first of all, don't put a weapon in the hand of somebody who's not trained. Period. End of story.
I mean, movies.
Listen.
No, the fact that movies are using live rounds blows my mind.
No,
I would have never thought.
Listen. They weren't using live rounds. The backstory to that is they were all off before they shot that scene, shooting cans and shit off in the distance with the weapon. That shit would not happen to somebody who is trained and familiar and comfortable with weapons. And this is why you have to go the exact opposite of what the media is trying to push. You have to go back to teaching that shit in middle school. Gun safety courses.
We
all
did
that
it
stuff.
when I was in school.
We all had
my mom was certified through the NRA.
Yeah.
That's how me and my sister became,
Yes.
as well, as profound as we are with weapons. My sister was in the Junior Olympics. I used to do skeet shooting and trap shooting all the time.
Look, I can ask him.
So-
I can ask him one simple question. He'll give me the same exact robotic answer that all of us give.
You
What's
don't
the first
wear
thing?
white socks and dress.
Fucking rat
That's
bastard.
not what you're going.
That wasn't what I was going for.
I already know the name of the
What's
episode.
what's the first thing you do when I throw a weapon to you?
Clear it.
If you throw a weapon to me, I guess.
Yeah, if I give you a weapon, what's the first thing you're gonna do?
see if it's loaded or not.
That's it.
Yeah,
and all of us know that. Why does he not know this?
Alright,
Because
so I'm gonna be the antagonist here.
Yeah. No, because after meeting you and hearing before we went on the air, I was like, I do want to bring this up because I want to see. It had nothing to do with PTSD. It's just we ended up going down that road.
Well, we always
but
do that.
I did want to see what you would say about it. Only because I still believe it's a tragedy. Someone did lose their life.
So that to me,
your mom's not right. I'm sorry.
A cucumber can be a weapon.
Have you seen the videos where people put the cucumbers around the cats and the cats go bananas?
They freak
What is up
out.
with that?
You put it
Have you
behind.
seen it?
Yeah.
Why
It
do you
is
not-
insane.
I almost want to get a cat just so I could do it to him.
Hey, I
every
got
day.
four of them.
You watch
Because I hate
YouTube
cats so
videos of these people putting a cat
Yeah.
by a cucumber or the cucumber, and the cats go absolutely bananas. No clue. I don't know what the cat thinks. If it's like the world's ugliest green little fat snake,
I don't know
What?
Or like a lizard or something.
I don't know. But they completely lose their cat minds.
over a cucumber.
Look, I
Whereas
just
most
typed in
women in
cats.
America, they do not.
I just typed in cats and I hit C, and the first thing that came up after cats and C was cucumbers.
Yeah.
So
That's how.
Yeah.
That's how often it happens.
so while I pull this, I do want to hear.
Yeah, so here's like you said. Here's. Oh my gosh!
See, that's what I'm saying. That happens to every
Cats
cat.
are so dumb. Okay. But then I guess you think if you're a cat, you never seen a cucumber. What,
Yeah, but it doesn't work for other green produce.
I guess that'd be an interesting.
We have to
iceberg
test
lettuce.
it.
Let's run a
Broccoli.
test.
Dude, when I
Three
was
cats.
deployed, we had these lizards, these big giant lizards that ran around. They burrowed into the sand and stuff. So we decided, we were gonna start feeding them. And so we'd bring lettuce and cereal. We just kind of made it fun. What would these lizards eat?
Wait. Where were you deployed that there was this massive lizards? If you don't mind me
The
asking.
desert, yes.
Okay,
the
desert.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So anyway, these big fat lizards would dig a hole like a groundhog. But anyway, they'd come out and run around and stuff. So as we would do, we're not necessarily mature and playing with the wildlife as well as
course not.
safety briefings.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so we're like, let's feed these things because what do you got to eat? You're in a desert. It's let's have sand today.
Yeah, let's
So
make it a
we were
little easier for these guys.
Right. So let's do it. Let's get some lettuce and bring some and let's have some fun. And I'm thinking, imagine if you were that lizard. You've lived your whole life. Your grandparents all told you about eating sand and whatever things.
Any kind of
you're
bug you can siphon out
and
of
you come
it.
out
Yeah.
one day and right there in front of
Just
your
like a smorgasbord.
sand pile is some vegetables.
I think that's how Thanksgiving got started.
Yeah.
Same
Imagine
basic
that
concept.
lizard going back to try and tell his friends, you guys aren't going to believe this. Carl, you're lying again.
Yeah, it was a
Stop
mirage.
drinking.
We're in
Right?
the middle of the
So
desert.
what we would do then is we would take cereal and we would make mazes to just see how. You know what we found? The lizards would never, ever, ever eat blue Fruit Loops.
What?
They would not eat blue Fruit Loops.
Certain
They don't
certain
like
animals can see color. Like dogs, they say they're colorblind,
Yeah.
but they can see a specific color. I just don't remember what it is. But certain animals, and that's how they can tell if an animal is poisonous or toxic or whatever. That's why you see these beautiful bright spiders, like these tarantulas, and it's that thing will kill you with
You know
a
what I
single
was
bite.
thinking? There's a bright, beautiful tarantula. I guarantee it may not eat a blue Fruit Loop.
You know
That's
what?
hard to say. Blue Fruit Loop?
Blue flu.
Blue Fruit
It is the
Loop.
new
You should
beer.
hear me
fit-
try to pronounce moose
What's in
knuckle.
that sweet tea you made there, Chuck?
It's good shit, man. Make a homemade. You're welcome.
Okay, so lizards don't eat blue Fruit Loops.
Yeah, it was weird. So
That's the new name of the episode, by the way.
You know what?
true story. They would eat all the other Fruit Loops. In fact, so then we got
quick side theory. Could that be because scorpions in the moonlight sometimes glow blue?
Maybe
the lizards know.
I mean, let's be honest.
to avoid
I don't
blue?
know. I don't know
I'm just
the
saying.
intellect of a lizard. But if a lizard is like, okay, round circly thing tastes good, round circly thing tastes good, round circly tastes good, and he also goes, now previously I remember someone saying like this long thing with pinchers and a stinger is bad.
Same color.
Same color. It doesn't look like a scorpion. I'd go for it, but maybe you're right.
Maybe we should
See, and I think
maybe we
that
should get some scorpions and lizards and test this out.
No, I think it's true because, like you said, it doesn't look like it, but it has a color. And I guess when you're in the wild, it's like you got to take either the most chances possible or as little as chances as possible, depending on how you want to survive. We're gonna need a lizard expert if anyone knows. If anyone knows any, just
if we could get like
that would be my theory.
Kellogg's.
Kellogg's.
Yes.
That would be my
put
theory.
the Fruit Loop on the scorpion's tail. See what happens.
So, but but don't put a blue one. Put a red one because we know they eat red ones.
They eat all of them except for
blue.
So yeah, no idea.
See, I'm against.
Well,
Kellogg's.
if my theory is correct, they won't eat it because they see it surrounded by the blue scorpion. So it'll be like, fuck
it's
that
like
shit,
putting
I'm
a
not touching
donut like in a vat of acid, and I'm like, man, I know that's acid, but I know that's a donut. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like hitting nitrous on your car. Like you're gonna try it, even though you're not really sure what the outcome's gonna be. It may totally scatter it, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure you know what the outcome's gonna be now. Fuck. Oh yeah. So Alec Baldwin.
oh, they're talking about socks.
No, not yet. We'll get
Oh
there.
yeah, no. So anything. Long story short, I'm a big believer. It's really difficult. People just put a lot of emphasis on basing their decisions on what they receive through social media, the news, whatever. My own personal opinion. The only thing I really trust is I have a hard time trusting any of it. So it's a tragedy. Somebody got shot. I feel like that's probably a fact.
Yep.
I'm sure it was accidental, regardless of what anybody's opinions for guns or not guns was, whatever. I think that's horrible. That's all just a group of people who are going to suffer. Whether that's the victim who was shot's family, whether it was Alex and his family, like there's zero winners out of this.
People on the set who witnessed it, even they had nothing to do with it, but they.
So whether you're for guns or against guns, I don't think anybody, nobody. This is just a shame for everybody.
I never knew that Ben was this sensitive.
No.
I was in the army.
No.
Really?
It makes.
I had no idea.
Oh, buddy.
Hey, just don't touch the socks, all right?
Right, exactly.
No,
lay off
listen.
the socks.
I get the whole thing of
I
the
think
tragedy.
Everybody's just so everybody's so angry,
Uptight,
looking at
ready to pull the trigger on something at all times. That's I think that's pretty much.
So
I think that's
so much is being presumed as being factual.
Yeah,
and here's one thing. Here's what I think people talk about. What's our military? What's our government doing? And I'm like, here's my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
Most of the folks I've ever worked with, whether they've been honestly politicians or public servants or cops or different, they've actually been really good people. I mean, of course, there's obviously an anomaly, but you know what? I know tons of people who work in the military or work for the government. They're great people. They're people that I think that you can probably sit down and say, hey, give me your top 10 things that are important to you. And I would write my top 10 things that are important to me. And we probably compare those two notes and be like, all right, so we're actually fairly similar.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's an absolute thing. And it just I think that we try and find a way to, I think we're all looking for, we want facts, we want information, we want to make, good decisions on our things, on our future, on our nation. And I just hope that, I think we oftentimes take things to be a little more factual than what they are, and that to me is just about as toxic. That's like the no decision, still a decision.
Yeah.
That's making a factual assumption from an assumption.
Well, that's somebody who else who was really, really good at controlling all media and selling the narrative was Hitler. And what people don't realize is that, first of all, the Holocaust happened, but there was about 80% of the population of Germany that had no idea that shit was going on, because the propaganda was so good.
Yeah, Joseph Goebbels, he was
the propaganda was so good that even though it was happening right under their noses, they thought nothing of it. as far as they were concerned, it was like a World War II camp that America had set up to take all the Japanese people and put them in the. They weren't killing anybody. But they wanted to control.
Yeah.
They wanted to control that percentage of the population because they were worried that they might still hold loyalty to Japan. And it's just funny that when we started liberating Germany, and we actually started taking the people from the local villages, and you can watch videos on this shit, and they take them through there, they're coming out weeping. They're bawling their eyes out because they've never seen anything like it before in their life. And they some of them said that they had a clue. There was actually a special I was watching on Netflix. And some of them said that they had actually had a clue as to what was going on, but they didn't want to believe it of their own country. Sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like that happens.
I think this kind of segues into something we were talking about, and that's really, look at the price of water right now.
Yeah.
A bottle of water.
Yeah.
I mean, what in the world is going on with that? If there's something that
Well, first of all,
you,
of all the water on the planet, only 1% of it's drinkable.
how do you know that?
That's what they say.
But that's it. They.
What is the bottle of water 1% expert?
Okay,
Who's
all right.
that?
We need that expert after the lizard expert. We have to.
I do know that the Bush family supposedly had bought up.
That makes the beer?
No, the Bush family that was in
That makes the oil.
that was in office.
That invented the bushes? The plants?
No,
What Bush?
the Bushes that was president.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
The family owns all this
Bushes.
fresh water in South America that they just bought up.
And
Like they were
Jones.
going to start a bottling company, but they own like the rights to all this water. And is that
How
a
do you
conspiracy
determine which water is
theory
your water?
or well
That's
exactly?
and that.
Like, where's the serial number that's...
Well, dude, it's like trying to figure out whose air is what.
That's true.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like they talk about there's such an emphasis on pollution here in America and
Isn't there Bush's
getting this-
beans, too?
There's Bush's baked beans.
Bush's beans.
And
They
then
got
you have the
everything.
beer
They got
company.
everything,
How did they
everything.
think of that much stuff?
70s. They had all the Bush in the 70s. Anyway.
Hey, it's making a comeback. It's all right. No, but here's the thing. Just like international water,
Yeah.
no, what is it, 20 miles out or something? Like, no one owns that. But somebody has to, like... all right, so there's
You want to
that.
know who owns it? Here's how you figure it out. Start emptying it out. You start stealing all the water out of the international oceans, and someone's going to be like, hey,
That's
you
my
where's
start,
our water?
You start drilling for oil 50
who
miles
starts
off.
asking where all the water went?
Yeah.
We start getting closer to who actually...
I don't care. I don't pay taxes on alcohol or
No, 'cause when I was
cigarettes
younger-
as soon as I get in international water, so I'm good with it.
When I was younger, I saw that episode of The Simpsons where it's like, all right, we're at finally in international water, monkey knife fights. You know what I mean? And like, they're just doing all this weird, random, illegal stuff. And it's like, you don't
Monkey
hear.
knife fights? I've never even heard of such a thing.
Yeah, you just tie
But I
the
guess we
knife
got
to
cats getting scared by cucumbers.
Right.
Next week's show.
So,
Oh, goodness.
obviously somebody has to patrol that, or someone's in charge of that or whatever. But then, like you said, with the water, like if it's in South America or it's in Africa, it's in America, wherever that water is coming from, like, okay, we have fresh natural springs in Pennsylvania. So at the end of the day, it's either a state park or it's through the state, unless it's privately owned by an individual.
Mine comes right out over there.
Yep. Very
About 100
convenient.
feet that way.
Very convenient. Nice tap. You know what I mean?
That's mine.
But so, like you said, though, why is water so damn high in price right now? Like, are they running out of plastic? Because, like, you can put... Now they sell canned water, Liquid Death, which is a weird name for canned water.
Canned
Yeah,
water
that's
is
pretty
called
weird.
liquid death.
Yeah, and then they also have cartons of water, like a milk carton with water. So it's like, it's not a bottle shortage. So what's driving the price? And then, who do you believe when you actually hear it? You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. It's like
Well, that's
believing the information.
that's if you talk to the average everyday American that's tripping on in the environment and everything like that, they'll say that we got to do more and we got to get to zero emissions and we should all be driving Teslas and this, that, and the other thing.
Have you ever
But
drove a
if you-
Tesla?
No,
Those things get it.
yeah,
they really?
they're
Oh
sweet.
my gosh, they'll just flat get after it.
I'm surprised.
Good night,
But
Mom.
It's only a fraction. It's only a fraction of what China and India puts out.
Yeah,
they're
but we
like-
don't do anything
India
about
makes
it.
Yes.
Teslas?
No
Pollution.
pollution.
Oh,
So
They
like,
probably do make some
What's this?
Teslas.
I mean, they're burning dirty coal. They don't give a shit what's going on. They're ripping freaking rare earth metals from the earth, leaving these huge, crevasses. in the
uranium.
ground.
Uranium was a big... Yeah.
okay. So what's that show where they always like dig all the gold out of the ground? How the heck do they do that? How do they just go like, all right, this looks like a good area. We're just dig a giant hole and find some gold.
Oh, you're talking about like the show that was on
Whatever.
Discovery
Yeah.
History
Gold Rush
Channel,
or
something like
whatever.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they like hit it with the hoses and
I was
bring
like,
it down
how
those
does that work?
drains.
You're just like, this looks like a good spot. We're gonna get a giant bulldozer and dig a hole.
But they talk about, oh, I just leased this claim for 2 years. So it's like, wait a minute, the person who owned this land did not set up their own claim and
Yeah,
take
why
their
don't they
own.
dig the hole?
Right, seriously,
Look,
like
if you're
you know,
about to
it's,
dig a hole here for gold, no. But if you want to come here and drive this backhoe for me and dig where you said there was some,
yeah, seriously.
Well, I think it comes down to personal resources, man. Probably costs a shit ton of money to get into that business. And there's some
yeah.
people that have the money and they've got the equipment. And then the guy who has the land is just like, I ain't got it. Just like the oil wells here in Pennsylvania.
the natural.
You're not
oil-
gonna, yeah, you're not
the
gonna
okay, if
natural
you're
throw.
going to do a
thing.
reality show, what would it be? What would it
Man,
be?
there's too many.
I mean, like if I was gonna do something in that area, like in that, not
You
like
said
not
you
like
had
Jersey
nonprofit
Shore.
stuff. So there's obviously
That's weird because a lot. I wouldn't want to take advantage of anyone else's situation if they're in a bad place in their life. I would not want to do that. I remember in 2010 when natural gas was like popping up here, and you saw trucks like Halliburton and stuff like that. My brother, he has like 100 acres, and they wanted to go up there and look for it. And they pay well, but then they don't fix anything when they leave. And I would have loved to see how these companies approach people about doing, and not just for natural gas, but any company that goes and approaches people. I would love to see a show about the companies sending out these guys. It's like, hey, we heard that there might be something worth money on your land. You might not know about it, but we do. But we'll pay you. And if there's not, you still get your money. But if there is, we already paid you and we're taking it. I would love to see that from start to finish, how that actually works and the people who actually buy into it. You know what I mean?
I think mine. I would have a show where you record people, their reactions when they call like a number and they get the automatic thing, and they're like, please press 1, and you press 1, like, did you press 4? And like, cause me, I personally like, I'm yelling at the robot on the phone. It's like,
Agent!
yeah, you're like, did you press 4? Like, no, I didn't press 4.
Did
Like,
you
if
say
someone would
4?
ever record the microphone of your phone,
Yeah.
you're talking to that stupid thing, and then nothing infuriates you when you get like through like about 7 or 8 sequences, and it goes, press 1 to go back to the beginning main menu, and you press something, not 1,
Yeah.
and it takes you. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
If I could find where this place was, I would drive to them right now, and I would have this conversation with a human being.
It's not bad enough.
That'd be my reality
It's
show.
not bad enough.
It called people blowing their gasket.
It's not bad enough that you used to have to sit there on the phone and wait for somebody to pick up. Now you got to wait for something to pick up.
But
and
they
then it
make
gives
you
you
do
a bunch of
things in
different
between.
numbers,
Yeah.
and then you never get through there, and then you push a wrong number, and it's like,
You
thank
know
you,
what?
goodbye.
I'll tell you
It's
this.
like-
Verizon, last year, they took double of payment. So I'm like, hey, you guys just took twice the amount of money you were supposed to. And first it took me 15 minutes just to talk to somebody. And then I'm talking to this person for 3 or 4 minutes, and they're like, oh, we have to transfer you to our billing department. I'm like, okay, whatever. Could you, write a note so I don't have to re-explain everything? Oh, yeah. And yeah, we'll let them know. I get over there and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, they were supposed to leave a note. I don't have a note. All right, so here's exactly what happened.
You
And I
gotta tell the same
explained the
story
whole
over and over and
thing,
over.
and they're like, oh, no, this is billing. You want financial department. I'm like, whatever. Get me where I gotta go, but let them know, because I'm tired of telling this fucking story.
Yeah.
And they get me over there, and they're like, all right, so they wrote down that you're having an issue with your bill. What's going on? That was the note?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm
you
having
get
an
this
issue.
one where you get on the phone and the robot's like, please type in your account number. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Please give us the last 4 of your telephone number that you're using. Beep, boop, boop, boop. And then if you'd like to talk to a person, press 2. And you press 2, and then the person's like, please tell me your account number. I'm like, isn't that on the screen right in front of you? Like, why did I just tell who did your robot show that to? And why did it ask me and you don't know that? If it's a test, I'll accept that. Like, if this is like
Yeah,
a way
if you're trying to
that
verify, yeah.
I'm the same person that 30 seconds ago just told your stupid robot.
Well, 8 years ago when you opened
This is
your
about
account...
that job I applied for, isn't it? You want to see when I'm going to snap, and if I snap, I don't get the job.
Well, it's like 8 years ago, you answered 3 questions for your... So it's like, in 2nd grade, what did you want to be? And it's like, 8 years ago, I don't know what I would have answered. I know what I would have wanted to have been now when I was 8, but I don't know if I was that. Do you have another question? It's like, yeah, what was your neighbor's cousin's first dog's name? All right, wait, go back to the first thing.
Did I read? Like, what?
Yeah. And then it's like, well, wait, did I just lie?
Yeah.
Is it Sparky? Oh, it is Sparky. I
Thank
lied.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
No, it is.
Or you get this one here.
Oh.
Please type in your last five of your social security number. You're like, 5?
Wait
Wait a minute.
We're in Russia?
4, right? You mean 4? 5? Crap, I'm going to have to write this up. So I got to count backwards. 1, 5.
You got to separate them.
And there's
3,
all this
2,
stress.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got to
that's how
separate
you
them.
memorize
Take
it.
one
That's how
from
you
there,
say
slide it
it. What
over.
is this?
That's like when people tell you their phone number and it's like, okay, yeah, my phone number is 5708-681-383. It's like, are you fucking like Russian? Like, who tells their phone number 433? It's 334. What are you doing? Why would you do that?
What about this awkwardness? When you have to tell someone a number and there's this weird thing like, give me your credit card number. And you're like, 842325. And they start to repeat the last 4843. And
So
you're
they
like,
just cut off.
crap. Do they repeat each 4 as I say that 4? Can I just read through all 16 digits?
All right,
and
from
then
the beginning
you
again.
read through-
Yeah.
And then they start to talk over the top of you talking. And you're like, crap. Now, which digit did you just get?
Yeah.
You know it's going to be wrong.
So yeah, you tell them the first 4, and
There's
then when
just
you're
way too
about to
many
go,
stressors
And
in
then there's
life.
this fear that then they're going to run it and your car's going to decline because they put one wrong number in there.
Yeah.
And then you're going to like, well, clearly this person thinks I'm a dirt burglar. And
Yeah, I can't
don't have
afford-
any money. Like, sir, I promise you I have a job.
I can't afford to
This
watch
hard
the new
works.
Venom movie. I'm
just an
sorry.
idiot.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Please don't ask me my last 5 because I don't have that.
Fine. Then what was your neighbor's favorite pet's name?
yeah. I mean, and then listen, if you're gonna ever have to pick that security question, just lie. And it's like, what would myself in the future answer? Which you probably wouldn't know, but just say Sparky. You know what I mean? And I actually do have security questions like that where they're like, what was your first
All my security
what was your
codes.
first girlfriend's name?
Every one of my
And
security
I'm like,
codes.
well, I know my first favorite girlfriend was. I don't know my
Right,
first.
what
you
was
know
I
what
thinking? That all right, that was
In case I ever forget, so you guys know, all my security codes are Bosco.
Bosco?
Bosco.
Bosco.
Yeah, just in case I ever lose anything.
I
B-O-S-C-O.
can't remember my own passwords,
I
let
can
alone
call you
someone
guys.
else's.
I remember
I
that.
could call you guys up and be like,
It's not
Is
White
it case
Sox.
sensitive? Is it got a capital first letter?
Oh yeah, capital B, lowercase
What
L.
happens if
It's
you
a 0 as an O.
What
It's
happens if you accidentally had the caps lock button hit while you're typing it in?
Oh,
So then you come back 10 years later and you're like, okay, I need to get into my will.
yeah. Yeah, good luck with
Denied.
that. Yeah.
Denied.
All your shit's
Crap.
going to the state, buddy. Fuck you.
Oh, you know what? I must have screamed my password. Yeah, caps lock, just everything.
And that's that's all stress. That all
This
adds.
is why I use biometrics. Somebody wants to steal my shit,
What's
they
that,
got to
your
take my
thumbprint?
they got to take my thumb.
Your thumb.
They got to take my thumb.
See,
There's ways they can do that too.
that's weird.
It's
'cause
crazy smart people.
With the new iPhones, they don't have a home screen or anything like that, and it goes off of your face. But sometimes, like, I won't have my glasses on, and they're like, "Is that you?" I'm like, "Wait, you're using face scanning technology, and you cannot tell an Italian with a huge nose, thick eyebrows, and a massive beard. I put on glasses. I'm Clark Kent now. Like, you don't know Superman's Clark Kent. You cannot tell. Let
That
me
makes
just
me feel
punch in
better.
my number.
That makes me feel better about walking around society with cameras everywhere. All I
probably.
gotta do is like change
I was
up
just
the
talking
look
to a
every
friend.
once in a
You're talking
while.
about looking at the screen. I was just talking to a friend, and they were talking about plastic surgery, and they said the way that they do it, that now they're able to do it through like virtual meeting,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
And they basically said, send us like some pictures, we'll review the pictures, and we'll give you a suggestion back. And I'm like, what a horrible thing! Like, hey, here's what I need you to do. I want you to send me pictures of yourself, and I'm going to tell you what's wrong with your face, and if I can or can't fix it. And I'm like, what a horrible experience for someone.
And hopefully,
a horrible thing.
hopefully between
How's this
now,
helping anyone?
and when your check clears, you don't commit suicide because
Gosh, like what if
It's like,
what
I was
kind
just-
of answers come
You're that
back from
depressed
that?
about
Like,
being
how often
ugly.
is the guys? I mean, granted, that's how they make their money.
Yeah.
So they're not going to come back and be like, "You're perfect."
Yeah, they got to
Heck
upsell.
no. They're going to be like, "Hey, you need this and that."
yeah.
and
So
we
it's
do
like,
this."
oh, well, your eyes are a
Goodness
little
gracious.
close together and your nose is crooked and we'd fix your chin. It's like, I just wanted my teeth whitened. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like
Why are
I'm
you
just
guys-
here because I got an ingrown toenail. Like, why am
Yeah.
I giving you selfies?
seriously,
I want to show you guys a picture of something that they
That's a
used
terrifying prefix.
in the
whatever it's about.
30s.
Hey,
Listen.
I want to show you guys a picture of something.
you never,
You never trust.
Okay,
No,
so I
nah.
typed in
Maybe a
beauty
better
cage And the first thing they do is show cages hanging out of the windows.
You
that
typed
they
in
used to-
what?
Beauty cage from 30s.
Yeah.
The first thing they show is basically the Eric Clapton special here. I don't want to show you
What
guys
is a beauty
that.
cage? I've never heard of that.
Well,
So
they-
in
they-
the 30s, there used to be what do they call them? Cosmetologists? Who are the people that do like the makeup and stuff?
Cosmetologists.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
I think estheticians do some more.
Okay.
Else.
So what they
dermatologists.
No, dermatologists are skin people.
right,
Cosmetologists are people who like, I don't know, do like your makeup and
and hair
make
and stuff.
yourself look
Yeah.
pretty.
So in the 30s, they had this device. It looked like a bird cage, and it had a bunch of different levers on it. And they would put it on a woman's head, and they would take all these individual measurements, and they would tell you what makeup to buy and how to apply it, according to the measurements of what the cage said.
Well,
And
shit. All I got to do is watch a YouTube video.
Well, no, but I guess women were not fans of being told of every fucking discrepancy on their head because it didn't catch on longer than a few years. But like Macy's used to have them, and a woman, they'd sit down and they put this cage over, and it's like poking and prodding, and then they'd be like, okay, so your eyebrows are about 4 centimeters too close, and you know your nose kind of sticks up, but we can contour that with this, and it's like.
Because that's
Who
what
thought that was a good idea?
Because that's what
Like,
women. Because that's what women need these days, especially young women, is to be beat
told.
up even more.
Well,
about
this
their
is the
looks.
30s. I mean, this obviously this didn't catch on.
There was no holes barred back then.
I tell my wife,
Take no
my
prisoners
wife, my
back then.
daughter, I love them. They're beautiful, beautiful. I tell them all the time. But here's the one thing I tell them: I am thankful that they were born a lady and I was born a man. Because I'm like, I look at the effort and the care that they have and the time that they spend,
Yeah.
to make sure that their nails look nice, that they, their clothes are fashionable, and the 600 products of things for hair that does I don't know what, and just the time that a lady takes to make herself beautiful. I sit and think, if that was me, I would look devastating every day.
Yeah.
I would be like, I'm not shaving my armpits today. Like, for what?
We would be
or,
some
I don't
raunchy
care about-
women.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I took a shower.
Because I would still be bar
Yesterday-
soaping it on the face.
That's
No.
that's it.
Dude, that looks like a torture
It looks
device.
horrible.
Yep. And we'll share this on the Facebook page if you guys want to see this.
That definitely looks like some kind of torture device.
Oh yeah, so I always come in and I'm like, you know what?
What do they call that at Man of War? What was that torture device that was on the head?
the screw thing that like?
Yeah.
Not the Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
Was it the Iron Maiden?
That's what it was,
I thought it
Iron
was a
Maiden.
full body thing. Oh yeah, it had the spikes in it and the clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some crazy.
So, okay, well, that being said, if you were a woman, don't you think your
I'd be a
mentality...
lesbian.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I'd
like,
be a lesbian.
and I'm not saying that there's, oh my god, dude, there's women out there who are lesbians and they're very attractive, you know what I mean? But
And I would try to
you know
have
what,
a,
though?
I would
wouldn't
try to
even
have a
say-
hysterectomy at 12. So
I wouldn't
could
even
never
say
get a
though. I
period.
wouldn't even say it was
I don't want to
lesbians.
deal with any of that shit either.
I wouldn't even say no because listen, if you look at like female athletes, the last thing that they're worried about 90% of the time is looking like a supermodel. So it's not like a lesbian thing. It's a mentality thing. Whether it's like a tomboy thing, but like if I was a woman, and I'm not saying this, as a man's mindset. I'm trying to say it as it's too much freaking work to try to keep up with what everyone expects from you. And I hate to say it because as a man,
Well, this is why
like,
you would
we're-
not. This is why you would not make a good teenage girl in America.
So here's
Rob.
this is
I don't think
interesting.
I'd make a good girl anywhere. I'd be awful. You know?
This is something I found interesting. So I've got some friends who are Amish, and I was sitting down. They're like our age. I was sitting down with their dad, who is a respectable elder in their community, and I was talking to him like, "All right, help me understand the Amish lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, is the devil in the TV or?"
This is interesting.
so
'cause
what-
I've
I'm
never
like,
met
so-
Amish people.
Yeah, so
like I mean, I've
so
seen
I've
them,
got
but
some close friends who are Amish. So I was talking with their dad, and I'm like, "Hey, I don't understand it." And he said, to them, the idea behind the way that they manage their culture is that to them, their priority is their faith, and second to their faith is their family, and so that he goes, look at all the things that you as a Western have in your life that take away from your faith or take away from your family. And he says, at my house we have a fireplace in the middle of our house. He goes, when it's cold in the wintertime, he goes, that's where all my family is. They're around this fireplace because they don't want to freeze to death.
right.
He says, in your house you probably have central air. He goes, so where do all your kids go when they come home from school?
Wherever they want.
Where do you go to your office, your spouse goes and, watches TV. He said, you all probably have your own vehicles. He says, so, and all of that, he goes, that time together is where you get to know and you build relationships, and if somebody is struggling with their grades or struggling with a boyfriend or girlfriend or what's on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I think that's part of where we, as Americans, and don't get me wrong, like we love technology. Like my wife and I sit and talk like crap. If we had cell phones when we were kids, we would have been doing the same stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
But truth of the matter is, you look at mental health, you look at suicide, you look at all of these different things. You even look at how people are bothered by different things. Like you say something and that offends me. Where had you put your phone down and I put we just touched hands right there. That was weird. Did you feel that?
I love you, man.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
If only I was into men who wore white socks, you would be a home run right now, buddy.
Chuck runs
But
his
today's
back.
not your lucky day.
Chuck runs, he's like, I got black socks. Hold on.
sticking with my wife. Yeah, but you build appropriate relationships. You get to know each other. So now when you say something, I understand if that's mean and meant in rhetoric or humor and not in like intentional.
Well,
hurt.
because shit doesn't get misunderstood. That's why I hate fucking texting so much. I can't put personality.
There's no tonality, yeah.
There's no tonality to it. You can't see my facial structure. You can't see if I'm smiling,
especially if you're
smirking,
sarcastic.
what I'm doing. Like, and I love that concept. And even when I was raising Key, dinner all the time, no matter how many friends she had over, dinner was at the table. And even her friends, I would say, you're going to put your cell phone down or you're going to lose it.
Yep.
I will throw it out in the yard.
But that's from the
And
Amish people, though.
do you know they'll talk about that, though, to this day? How much they love that.
Oh, yeah. I heard Amanda say it before. She used to love coming over for dinner and
Yeah.
stuff. But from the Amish point of view, that's like them saying that you can't have an understanding in a relationship with your family because of this. And I think that's bullshit.
I don't know that they're saying that you can't. They're saying these are all things that cause greater distraction.
Those are the
That's
things
true.
that distract away from it,
if
that pull you away from that.
If you
But how much focus do you have to have on it? You know what I mean?
I think
like,
Well, the same thing
I think
could
that's
be...
all subjective to
Right.
The same
so
thing
you
could
and
be
your-
said for financial shit, too. We become a prisoner to that, too. We got to have a car because we got to get to work.
We all gotta have the new cell
As soon as
phone.
we get the car,
Yeah.
we got to have the job to make the car payment.
Yep.
Then where are we going after that? We got to rent.
Then
we
we
got
need
rent.
two cars. Then
we
we
got
got
a
a daily
mortgage.
driver and a sports car. Then we want
You
the
got to pay
bigger
the
house.
electric. Got to do this.
So I
gotta do-
think I think whether you decide you want to go get in a horse and buggy, I'll leave that up to you personally. But I think the concept of their intent is to not have things that get between them and their focus. And so if that's if you decide like
so just they're not great multitaskers. I'll take it. Only because listen, no, the Bible does say that faith comes first and family comes second, and they're basically living how true Christians should live their life.
Right.
Because the Bible specifically says that.
I commend them for it. I think in this day and age that if you can still hold on to that kind of tradition
right.
and be dedicated,
And
to
dedicated.
something that
But
hard,
look at it a different way. Go
You
to a
deserve the
restaurant and look
respect.
at two people,
Yeah.
whether it's husband, wife, two people date, whatever, and look at the time they both may spend on their phones. So
Oh,
that's all-
yeah.
sit right across from each
That's
other.
all time that they missed on
Yeah.
being able to talk about maybe something that was important,
Yeah.
getting to know each other, maybe talking about something they witnessed with one of their kids,
Yeah.
something that's been laying on. It's a distraction.
People are going to become less interesting because they're so engrossed in this and they're not having these conversations.
Well, can I tell you, and I brought this up to Beth today, I said, you know what, we're living in a society these days which is the perfect freaking factory for making narcissistic fucking serial killers. And I'm totally serious about
A
that.
lot of stuff.
Now,
I
well,
mean-
now let's think about it. They're nothing but attached to this. Everything goes by this. We said something about, we were talking about last week about when did it become okay to insult somebody, and I said,
and not expect to get punched in the face for saying it.
And I said, well, when Facebook came
When
about,
you could do it from a
because now
distance,
you can
like-
say whatever the fuck you want,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
not going to be held accountable to it.
Yeah.
So all these checks and balances on our personalities are being thrown to the wind, while we're not practicing the typical interpersonal communications that we had to grow up with because we didn't have the cell phones. You wanted to know something, you had to come find me. I wanted to know, you know what I mean? I wanted to find my friends in the neighborhood. I had to get on my bike and look for where all the other bikes
where
were
everyone
sitting.
was sitting watching Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
What was the hot quality topic of that show each day?
Oh my
Well,
God.
no, but all right. So wait, I wouldn't say serial killers. It's not because from the 70s on, serial killers have been on decline. But
Well-
what I will say is growing is mass shooters.
Well,
Like
it's
from
just the
Columbine
same, dude.
on.
It's the same thing.
It
It's,
is.
It's just a different uniform. It's just a different medium.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not sneaking around stabbing 13 people in a park late at night.
over a year.
Now
I'll do it all
I'm
in 10
coming into a
minutes.
school and dropping 8 kids at a time.
Right.
And it's that disconnect from personal responsibility and
look how
accountability
many
to
of
each
them-
other as human beings that's helping breed that.
But look how many of them are also doing because they want to be, like they looked up to the Boston bomber, they looked up to, Columbine, and stuff like that. It's glorifying these people, or, it's the kid who's like somewhat misunderstood, he gets bullied. And yes, right now in schools today, they are very against they're anti-bullying, which when I was a kid, schools were like, shit happens,
Yeah, get over it.
Yeah, like if we can intervene, like if we see it, we'll do something, but if we don't, like what do you expect us to do? But this has, like, I would,
But
and
back
I've
in
said
our
this,
day,
though,
too, I mean, in my school we still had rifle racks in the backs of pickup trucks with rifles in them, and
not today.
people didn't run for a gun when they got into an altercation with somebody. They met them behind bus 35 or down by the bleachers.
I had
And
a
they
buddy,
get-
he used to say, if they was going to fight, he'd say, we could shell the corn right here. I said, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, if you're going to fight somebody, you tell them, we could shell the corn right here. I'm like, if you said that to me, I was like, what? Are
you offering me
mad
a
at
job
right
or
now?
something?
We have to become friends. And then you would punch me and I get beat up because I didn't know that shell the corn right here means
Get down. Yeah. But that's what I was saying. I've said this probably since like last year, but like I could not imagine raising a kid in today's environment.
Oh.
And like your daughter, thank God that she's old enough.
Yeah.
But she was in high school, let's say within the last 5, 6, 8 years, all of this was around and things probably were bad. And I got a nephew, he's 16 and he's in the middle of it, but he's got such a level head on him, like thank God, like Angie did a great job with him. But like I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with the stress of, is my kid getting picked on? Is he or she being bullied? Is she not saying anything and hiding it? I mean, like, if you don't mind me asking, like you said earlier, you have a child or kids. Like, how old are your kids? Like teens?
Yep.
Okay. So they're literally in the middle of this environment every day.
But they're Midwest kids.
Yeah, but you know what? That might even be harder because they see things happening on the East Coast and the West Coast, and they see the popularity, and it infiltrates. You know what I
It's
mean?
different. It's different. Their challenges, their environment, their interactions are different than if they were in a big city school or in a West Coast or East Coast thing. So, my opinion is, I think that the environment they're in is fairly safe. As far as not being around, some of the crime and the things like that.
Right.
That, other schools are plagued with. So that to me, that's a.
And I think that says a lot. I think kids in cities. Maybe when I was younger, things were a little different because you had boys' clubs. You had the city
the Boys and
pool,
Girls Club. And,
You had all this kind of stuff, but you see more and more of those things disappearing. Like Scranton has none of that shit anymore. When I was a
rec
kid,
centers and
when I was a kid, Scranton had a freaking zoo at Naog. They had the museum, and they even had some little rides there for kids. Then you had, I think there was 2 different freaking community pools, and right there on the main street was the movie theater.
yeah, or like skating rinks.
So
or
there was
bowling
always
alley,
something to do. All that's gone now. The skating rink is gone. The movie house is gone. The boys' club closed a long time ago, and both the pools they never open them anymore.
And when I was younger,
Naog has no more animals.
Oh, yeah,
What is
no.
that?
Naog is it. That's what we used to call it. Naog
It's an
Zoo.
acronym for something.
it was the name of the zoo.
Yeah, it's
Go
the
to the
name of the zoo.
Naog. Yay!
How it got the
Naog.
name Naog, I have no idea. It probably has
I'm gonna
something to
feel
do with
horrible
some
if that's
person.
like the last name of a person.
Yeah.
I'll
Like
tell
Alfred Naog, lead
it might-
donator to the stand-up of the.
It might be. But they had like a legit full-on zoo up there. Monkeys, elephants, buffaloes, all kinds of shit. And all that shit is gone because the city couldn't afford it anymore. Meanwhile, the population that depended on social programs got bigger and bigger. So now you have basically one of 2 things in Scranton. You've got college students, because the colleges are about the only thing that's keeping the city afloat now.
Mhm.
And then you've got a majority of, like all kinds of welfare cases. Or you have people that own property from New York, they own the houses here, they rent them out to whoever, they don't give a shit, and they get run down and beat up. Who is Nayag? You're finding out.
Well, I thought it was one word.
Yeah,
It's
no, it's two words.
Nayaug.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually looks like almost like Central Park.
That's what it was like.
Yeah.
Right there. And there was like
So
rides, and there
Central
was like a
Park
zoo.
Actually, was crafted after that. Is there some copyright potential in this?
I don't think so.
I see a way to make some money.
Because I think Central Park was way bigger.
I like the name Nayog.
I like the.
I mean, I'm not gonna name an animal after it, but yeah, when I was younger, we had arcades. You know what I mean? Like,
But
I
you're
used to love
getting
going
less
there.
and less. The
But
point,
yeah,
the
but
point
the
is that
spread
you get,
goes.
even
yeah.
though it's a city, and it's not just Scranton. It's all these cities. Even though they're cities, they're losing more and more shit to do. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, what the hell is a kid in the middle of a city gonna do? Out in the country, you could go.
If we could get
go
them figuring out
four-wheeling,
who owns international water.
We can
You know
figure
what I mean?
both. We figure both those things out.
God,
We-
there's so much that
can
we
build a
take
utopia.
advantage of though in America. It's like, yeah, we got to pay a little more, but at least we have it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like, there's places out there. Like I said, my buddy's from Romania, and he tells me, he's like, I did not see a banana until 1991, and he's like your guy's age.
Did you
So
know monkeys eat bananas from the opposite side?
yeah,
That's
and
the
it's
way-
smart.
Crazy?
It's a
Because
handle.
it never.
That's
it
how
never
you're supposed
splits
to.
open
That's
either.
how you're supposed to open them.
That just fascinates people when you're like, why are you biting a banana from that? I'm like, because watch, even green bananas. And they're like, wow,
Yep.
you are literally one of the most profound intellectual individuals we have ever met.
Yep.
And they, I mean, a lot of times they'll even like take a knee and stuff. And I'm like,
It's like we're not that different after all, you know.
you may stand up within my presence, but allow my knowledge to be passed on to you. And I like do like a little like Padawan thing with a lightsaber. I don't have a lightsaber, but I simulate that. I have.
Yeah, I mean they get the idea. I mean,
If I had like a
obviously
broom's
it's
handle or something, like I'll be like, hey, can
All you gotta
tape
do,
some LEDs to it.
all you gotta do is go to a certain website and get your priesthood, and you could preach the
I
way of
am
the banana.
ordained. Yep. Not in the banana way, but you know. The name Nayag traces the origin to the Munsee Indians, a subgroup of larger Lenape tribe. Their language, Nayag, means noisy water or roaring brook. So if you find the fresh water,
Well, see, that makes sense because in the back in Nayag, there was these cliffs, and we used to go jump the cliffs.
Yep. So that's how that happened.
Yeah. Well,
So that's
fucking-
where the international water comes into play then.
Yeah.
The Indians have it,
The-
which
it was
rightfully it
owned-
is theirs. I mean, technically, come on. Like,
No, it's not. Listen, if you lose, you lose. That's all there is to it.
hey, you know what?
I'm tired of all this sensitivity shit. Look,
No, I hate to say it, but like,
the Romans had a good thing going on for a while, and then they got their ass kicked.
there's so much
That's just
that
how
we
it
could
is.
look at. We could give them like Montana, Wyoming, Wisconsin, and like I would not care.
Have you been to Montana?
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I don't think anybody wants it.
That state is. I drove as fast as my truck would go across that 97 mile an hour, and it would hit the computer. It would just stay right there.
Have you ever been in
I set the
Nebraska?
there was no radio stations, not AM or FM, nothing. I'm like,
I stopped there to
where am
ask.
I at right now?
I stopped there to ask directions on my way out to Fort Lewis, Washington.
Where did you stop in Montana? to ask
There
for
was a
directions?
guy fixing
No,
a fence.
To who?
A
That guy
fixing
was
a fence.
lost.
He's like, I haven't built this fence for
He's
30
like,
years.
what is this apparatus you are traveling in?
He actually ended up talking to me for like next to an hour, man.
Because he thought you were from the future.
Yeah, no, he probably never. He hasn't seen
He had
anyone in
never
20
seen
years.
another-
I think he was out there for like 10
He was
years.
like, I traveled this way west of the Mississippi.
Like,
Huckleberry
Like,
Finn
I
had me
legit-
painting this fence 30
Oh,
years ago. He
Hezekiah.
never came.
listen, dude, I legit think like people out in Montana are like, I'm gonna go load the horse up with the tent and enough provisions for a month. I'll be back in a week when the.
They're literally living the Oregon Trail.
I'll be back.
Like
Yeah,
that-
I'll be
yeah.
back in a month when the fence is fixed.
But
We can't lose any more
That was
herds.
such a long state to drive across.
It is
this
ridiculous.
way.
It's
I would
terrible.
say
It's
Nebraska's
terrible.
worse. Nebraska is like straight corn.
But it's not as big. That's the difference.
Oh, so it's
if, you-
not-
if you're gonna be like, get
So if
across
you-
it real quick.
So if you're
Montana's
gonna
just
pull
like,
off the Band-Aid, just pull it off real quick.
1 week later. Like, I don't run out of fuel because
I guess Wyoming would be the same though, because like they're like right next to each other, and there's not much of a difference. It's like, yeah, you got Canada right there.
Yeah.
So basically, like if you're like leaving, let's say Detroit or whatever, one of those like Green Bay, and you're like, I want to go to Washington, you're gonna be driving a northern path all through those states to get to Washington.
Yep.
Yeah.
That must be like the worst. Like
That's
I'd
what-
rather
that's-
go on Route 66 in the desert.
That's the trip that I took, man.
There's literally
The best
there
is,
was
like-
literally not even a radio station.
The best is like Mount Washington.
Where's that happen?
When you're approaching Mount Washington,
Hell,
right? And it's
Yep.
like, look, there's a mountain there. And it's like an hour later, look, there's a mountain there.
it's a little bit bigger than it was now.
And like an hour later, it's like, look, there's a mountain there.
I mean, it's
We're gonna hit it any minute. I know it. It's right there. Why are we not there yet?
Wait. So wait,
What?
you guys both served.
Yeah.
Where?
Ice cream. So people always get that mixed up. Like, oh, you're a veteran. Like, no. Like, what?
Soft serve. It was soft serve.
Veterans Day is for veterinarians, and like, are you a vet? Like, yeah, like freaking help dogs and cats. Like,
Yeah, it's the only way I'm able to get grain
that's how I get the
alcohol in
10%
Pennsylvania.
discount at Lowe's, right?
Yeah.
Like, help cats.
What country, if you had a choice, to move to? Like, say America's kicking you out, you couldn't stay here.
Right.
They're like, listen, you're out. What country?
Bring it, bitch.
Are you,
I dare you.
Are you more likely to go to? And I'm just gonna answer with right now any country that speaks English because I'm too fucking lazy, and my Italian is not as good as it once was. So I would say Australia probably.
Yeah, man, shoot, I don't know.
I'm
I
gonna
mean, I
say
know my wife likes warm weather, so
I'm gonna say the Galapagos Islands, because there's nobody there. What?
Oh, I mean, yeah, you wouldn't have to learn another language because there's nobody there. But nah, I couldn't do that.
Why not?
You got to have some people. I am not going to be the worst person on this island.
I mean,
And
it's
I know if
like
I'm the only one
like-
there, I'm the worst.
Draw faces on coconuts or something, man.
Ireland, Switzerland, Germany, those are all similar parallels as us, like Four Seasons.
I've got a
Yeah,
lot of
It's kind
friends.
of a boring answer.
I got a lot of friends overseas, and I'm telling you, a lot of the shit that's happening here is happening there too.
Oh, you know, I know. Everyone has.
About the only
everyone
place
has their
that this
problems. I
shit's
do know
not
that.
happening in is Russia, because they'll
So
shoot
that
you.
makes me wonder if that's where
They'll
the
fucking
water's
kill you.
coming from.
Where? What? Russia?
Irish
If
Spring.
everybody,
Motherfucker. Robbie
No,
Spring.
because, I mean, it couldn't be because they got way too much alcohol.
You'd have to go someplace where your money works for you. You could go to the Philippines.
Well, according to my crypto investment, that can be anywhere. Hopefully.
This time next
Hopefully.
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brother Les, my brother from Missouri, is on.
This is live.
Yeah.
Yeah, last time he joined it was like kind of late.
Yeah,
so
he
he
missed
was getting
us.
the end of it. Yeah.
What's up, my brother?
because if
Happy.
this was rehearsed,
Everybody-
we would have had a wardrobe change for some individuals.
Shut up. Say a happy belated birthday to my brother Les.
Oh shit! Happy birthday, buddy.
Yep, he just turned it.
Happy birthday,
28.
Les.
Old
Yeah.
as dirt. I won't tell him the number, man.
Why are birthdays less exciting as you get older? I mean, then once you get so old, you're just glad if you make it to the next one. But like, there's this lull in the middle. Like when you're a kid, you got the and halves.
Oh yeah,
I'm 6 and a half.
and a quarter.
That doesn't happen when you get older. You kind of
No.
give up on that. Like,
Yeah, you,
and
Yeah. Well,
half
when
thing.
does it stop being months? Like when a mother's like, oh yeah, he's
The-
148
that is a mom
months.
thing.
the Buddhist.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, my kid's 27 months. I'm like,
He's 2 years old. Get out of here.
Yeah,
What is
I
that?
love that. I love that shit. I
He'll be
love it.
drinking anytime.
He's
you know?
36 months. That's why he's in the stroller.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta Google that. Google convert monsters per year. How old is this kid right now?
He's 13. Yeah. Jesus
This
Christ.
child has a
mustache.
beard. Get him out of the. Get him out. He's got a beard.
No, the
I
only,
could do
the,
that, yeah.
Get him out of the walker.
the only reason I ask about this whole moving thing is because a lot of people are starting to say that if things got any worse, they'd move to Canada. And
Go to Canada then, bitch.
well, no, my thing is, yeah, but you know what? Canada doesn't want us. You know how hard it is for as an American to move to Canada?
I don't want Canada.
Like,
I don't
dude,
want Canadians.
it's nearly impossible unless you have like millions of dollars.
So I did some training, and I worked with some Canadian military, not Canadian military, some Canadian police, whatever their Mounties. I forget. what they're
Yeah,
called.
okay, yeah.
Right. So, and they were around like the Niagara area. Do you know what the number one thing smuggled across the border is? Cheese.
What?
I'm like, what?
American?
Yep. So I guess dairy's a lot cheaper in that area in the United States side, and it's very expensive on that side. And he said, so the biggest thing we deal with people is smuggling cheese. I'm like, how would you like to go to the big house? And there you are, like, everyone's in there.
You're like a mob
murdered,
boss.
Faces are all tatted up, and like, what are you in for? Like, I had 25 pounds of
fucking-
cheese in my cargo pants on my
I'm a
Vespa
cheese runner.
scooter.
Oh,
I got
cheese
caught
is-
at the border.
Cheese
I'm a
is
fucking
code
cheese
word
runner.
for Coke. It's like, nah.
I'm like, is that like in the paper? Like, we got a big cheese sting going on, like all the blocks of cheese laid out. Like, here's what we found.
Can you imagine the
Nice
Mountie?
job.
Mounties are all proud.
The Mountie pulls up his boss. He's like, "This is the most gorgonzola I've ever seen." You know what I mean?
Bring the dogs.
This motherfucker
Oh,
got
dude,
the cheese
I
dogs.
could be a fucking cheese sniffing bird. You know, I could smell cheese. And like, I go up to a car, I'm like, "They're packing."
Oh,
you know what I mean?
wait. Now you see what my brother said?
No.
Sunshine is on its way.
All right, that's all we're gonna say about that. It's code.
Oh God.
It's code for cheese.
I was gonna say like a male stripper fireman to come in, like, hey, is this one of your buddies? It's like,
You know this guy? This fucking guy.
he's like, wait, why are you wearing my uniform? You know what I mean?
I didn't know Fisher Price made a uniform. That's awesome. It's way too small. You're gonna get burnt, sir.
Oh my
That's
god.
it. I saw somebody painting one of those freaking tiny ass cars they're building these days to look like the
Oh, the
play
smart
school,
car.
to look like the
Oh,
play
yeah,
school
I seen
cars.
that.
Yeah.
Little tykes or whatever.
I was like, how fitting.
Yeah, those cars only go 65 mile an hour, which is weird because there's
So
speed
that means
limits.
they'll all be in the fast lane.
Yeah, oh, obviously.
They'll all be passing.
Because there's speed limits in America that are 70 and 75.
Dude, don't even. I deal with that every fucking morning. I lose my shit. This
Yeah.
guy's got like 3 fucking football fields ahead of him, clear.
He's
and he's
like
like-
tapping his brakes.
And you're like, and he's like, no, I'm going 2 miles an hour faster than him, so I gotta stay here.
But
And
the
then
thing
when
of
you
it is,
wait-
like, you're getting irate. You're flashing your lights, and you're like, pit car and back and forth, and you're thinking like, yeah, this guy knows how angry I am. And then you finally get around, you pass him you're on the right, and you look over, they're still oblivious. They have no clue. Like, you've spent so much time exhibiting rage, like just trying to let them know, like, you literally despise their life.
Then you get more angry because you're like, why won't you respect my rage?
It's not there. Like, so they're having a great day, like things are nice, like they're like, wow, you know, like there's no traffic
I-
around.
9
Yeah,
times
it's 'cause
out of
there's
10.
a funeral behind you.
Yeah,
times-
seriously,
yeah.
it's a procession. Jesus.
9 times out of 10, I get the other route. I get the female with this right here.
I
And
don't
I'm like,
I don't get. I do get road rage, but nobody ever like reacts to me, or no one ever. You know what I mean? Like even today,
then
someone.
you're not doing it right.
So like someone pulled off the off ramp, and I'm driving, and I got the big ass Sprinter van,
Yeah.
and I'm in the middle lane, and I see I'm in the right lane. I see him coming off the exit, so I go in the middle lane. As soon as he gets in, he completely just bypasses this lane and goes right in front of me, and then hits his brakes. And I'm
Dude.
like, "What are you looking for? There's not even another exit for like 2 miles."
On
You
my
know
way-
what I mean? And I finally I get on the side of him, like I'm looking down, and of course like he's just like looking at. It's like a tablet. I don't know if it's in his car, but it's a screen like this big on his dash, and he's just driving like this. And I'm like, dude, eventually he's gonna hit something.
I bet if you ask truck drivers, the stuff they see.
Oh, my
Because of
God.
the
Are you
advantage
kidding
they
me?
have.
Some of the truck drivers
I'm not-
these days are the worst fucking drivers on the
No,
planet.
I'm saying the stuff that
The stuff that
because-
they can see because they're so high
Yeah,
up.
they
yeah.
can just look like Matt.
Oh, I can
and you know what
imagine.
I also like to do like.
Hey,
when I
there you
to
go.
hotels,
There's a good reality show.
Yeah. Here's another one.
Write it down.
Right
Another
down.
one. I always like to ask, like, when I go to different hotels, like, what's some crazy stories that your cleaning ladies have like dealt with? I'm like, I'll bet they, because no one has any respect at a hotel room. Like,
No.
you don't care about like you're like someone else gonna come here and take the linen, the towels, like. You know,
There-
if it was
see,
your
there-
own house.
There's my brother. He
10 times.
he drives truck. He says happens 10 times per day.
Oh shit. Okay.
I had this guy.
Cleaning lady stories. That would be I'd like that book.
My sister actually does professional cleaning, and this is in I think she calls it the Piho House. I don't know what the fuck the actual name, but she does like bed and breakfasts.
Yeah.
Now, so as you can see here, there's a headboard that grew eyelashes.
What the hell is?
Right?
Some ghetto bitch left her eyelashes on there. Is that
is that?
what is that?
That's
That's
hairs.
somebody's extension.
Oh!
Wait. Obviously, you know, gotta
Come
have
on.
that.
They're partying.
on.
So he said, "Hey, let me get my eyebrows out of the
And
way."
then the mirror grew a second pair of eyelashes. Like how many? Like so. Wait, you're getting it real good.
guess
Like, you
maybe
gotta take your
like a-
eyelashes off, put on the bed, but then
What if they
after round 2, you break out new eyelashes, put them
Or
on. Just
what if 2 of the eyelashes were from one eye? So then you got like this
just like real like
one
long
eye going on,
eye.
and you're like, what the world?
Uppers and lowers.
They don't
Okay, so
make
we-
long enough eyelashes, so you gotta put 2 side by side.
We were
Just what
sitting
kind of
around one day
trash?
talking, and
What
we
kind of
had to-
trash do you have to be to leave that kind of shit behind?
I mean, I don't know. Like maybe they were like, "Hey,
But no,
I
because,
really
like-
want to keep these. I don't want to throw them in the trash."
Dude,
Put
I'm
them
the
here."
guy. I'm the guy who like strips the beds, takes the towels, puts everything in the freaking sheet.
No, I don't do that shit.
I put everything in it, like in the shower or the bathtub. 'Cause I
Yeah.
always thought
And
that's
do you
what you're
tip?
supposed to do.
And do you tip? Do you leave a tip?
No, not anymore.
You don't leave a tip?
Used to.
I
Used
didn't know
to.
you ever did.
Yeah, you
Leave
leave
a
a tip.
tip?
Leave a
I
tip.
didn't know that.
No,
Now
I
I
never.
feel like a jerk customer.
Because somebody's cleaning up after you.
But I mean, they're getting
But,
paid
yeah,
a normal. I mean, I'm not getting a tip for my job.
Yeah, they're not waitresses where it's like their paycheck relies on
Right.
tips. They're, you know what I mean?
Not necessarily. But
I understand to
But
be
they
the
don't
cool
get
thing to
paid.
do.
They don't get paid a fucking lot.
No, yeah,
They're
no,
lucky
they
if
don't.
they're pulling minimum.
Well, no, my sister's
I mean,
fucking
and really,
making
you're
bank right now.
tipping
I'm thinking about
someone
starting clean
who
houses.
really has not performed any service. Like you give someone a tip at a restaurant if they do a good job. Like
Yeah.
you know, here's a tip because you served our food really well. You're a good waiter
Now,
waitress.
It,
Right?
well, it should
But-
be
but-
like that.
But
It
if
should
you
be.
tip someone that's going to come in and clean your room, what if they do a crappy job? And now you just tipped them, and they're like, I'm going to do halfway.
You should always tip.
Yeah.
And if you're there for
I'll give
if
you a
you're
tip. Don't
if
ride
you're
a two-legged
there
horse.
if you're there for several days,
Don't let your grandma comb your hair when she's mad at your grandpa.
if you're there for several days, you definitely need to tip
Yeah, but you know what? Though,
because
like,
they've been coming and cleaning up after you every day.
but
and
like
all
you
sorts
said-
of
if you're there
shit.
for a period of time, you should tip.
Oh, always.
But what if you're like a clean customer and they're really not having to do a lot of work?
No, you gotta tip. You gotta tip.
no, because like he said though, he's like you tip a server when they do well, and it's like nowadays.
You wouldn't give a server a tip before you sat down to eat.
Well, but no, but nowadays servers expect this, and servers they say, "Oh, well, my job's based on tips, so like if they don't tip, I add gratuity," and it's like,
Well, there's a
wait,
lot of businesses that are doing that now.
right,
All they got to do is go up and say they never tipped me, and they'll put a
and they'll
frickin-
put a charge on their card.
card.
But it's like, wait a minute,
That's
wait,
why you have card fraud. You just call the 1-800 number and you get the meal for free.
Who did some motherfucker?
and that's the thing. No, but you have
I
to
didn't eat
explain
this
it.
food at McDonald's.
You have to explain it and be like, listen, I do believe in tipping when someone does a good job. This server was shit.
Oh, right
and
there.
that's
There you
why
go.
I'm not giving them a tip.
And anything you get from that day on, you're just gonna have spittle in it,
And that's, well,
or
you just,
jism, or pubic hairs.
you just don't go back to the
So
restaurant then.
we were
I guess.
talking
can't-
when
you
we were
can't
sitting
go
around with
back.
some friends talking. We were like, "What's the nastiest thing you ever ate?" And so everybody's like, "Oh, somebody accidentally drank somebody's dip spit out of a bottle."
Oh, that's
that,
happened to everyone.
We're like, "That's pretty
I've
disgusting."
done that.
Here was the one that won. You ready for this?
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
So I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. Especially if it's not your dip bottle.
But that
Okay?
wasn't the winner. That's,
That wasn't the winner.
Oh my God.
Here was the winner. My friend said he was at a pizza establishment, and he was had a soda, whatever it was, he was drinking, and reached over, takes a drink of it, spits back out. Somebody had peeled off their fake fingernails. They were cleaning the table off beside him, took the drinks from the table that they were cleaning, accidentally set it on his table while they were wiping that one off. So it was someone else's drink that he thought was his.
so not even his drink with fingernails in
And
it.
somebody had peeled their fake fingernails off and put it in the drink.
Ugh.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, that is so. Because now I'm picturing the person, like, who sets, like, hey, we just got done having a good pizza. How's things going? I'm going to peel off my fake fingernails and stick them in my drink.
I tell you who, the same people that stayed in that hotel room.
Oh, I was like, that is so gross.
Listen, if you're gonna ask me whether I would want to go
Oh,
to a bar and have someone put GHB in my drink, and God knows what happens, or to drink someone else's soda with fingernails in, I will say give me the GHB, because at least I won't remember what the fuck happened. That would haunt me. I would make sure I never left my drink ever
You,
again.
well, you know
Sounds like
what?
you win.
I got my brothers on here, right, Les? Let me tell you what happened to him one time. Is it alright if I tell this story, the Heineken story, my brother?
He's probably typing,
said
no!
If you tell it before he replies, then you have an alibi.
That's
I have an
true, yeah.
alibi, yeah.
Take your time
It's
typing.
his fault. It's his fault, not mine. So
Why?
we're all going. We're all going to. I forget where we were going. We were all going together. We're all brothers, and we were trying to sneak drinking in the back of the car while we were going, right? Because you can't have it up and everything. Yeah. See, you said yeah. Go ahead. So we're drinking Heinekens. We're in the back of the car. We're drinking these Heinekens and shit like that, right? And we go to. I forget where we were going, but we went there. We had the night, and we get back, and we were cleaning out. Oh, the drive-in. Yeah, we're going to the drive-in.
Oh yeah, they don't want you drinking.
They don't want you
yeah.
drinking there. So we get back to the house and we're cleaning the bottles out, and I'm looking at the one bottle. I'm like, what the? I was like, whoa, and I was like, is this what I think it is? And it's like, holy shit, there's a freaking mouse, like right out of a goddamn freaking.
I thought you were
movie.
going completely other direction with this.
No.
There was a mouse.
There was a pickled mouse in the bottom of the fucking Heineken bottle, just sitting there. So this motherfucker must have got into the bottle
while it was being filled.
while it was being filled, and he was down there. My brother drank that whole freaking beer,
Was it good?
and at the bottom of it was the mouse. He didn't even notice. I still to this. How did you not notice that there was a difference in flavor?
How did you not die? Yeah.
Well,
No.
who knows? Maybe
Well,
it added-
alcohol.
I mean,
my brother
who decided putting a worm in tequila was a great.
you could feed him anything. He'll take it like a trooper.
I will say this: there was a Vlasic pickle company in southern Delaware where I used to live, and pickles are in this massive vat. You can see it from the road, huge, and it has it doesn't have a full lid on it. It has like a cage, but it needs to breathe, and there's allowed to be 4 dead birds a month in there, that they could still bottle it and serve it to people. So if you eat Vlasic pickles, there's probably trace amounts of dead bird in there at some point.
I mean, you find a feather, you pick it out, you keep going forward. Like you can't. I mean, pick.
You noticed the slight crunchy.
Yeah.
Is there supposed to be meat in this Heineken? But no, when I was when I
Oh.
when I was over when I was in Germany and we did this Operation Purple Dragon and we took everything down to Italy and loaded it on boats and then we shipped it off to Spain. And when we were on the pier in Spain, they have these big, huge. You know how that the state has the
Arches.
big houses that they put the freaking salt in for the road.
Oh yeah,
It's
Yep,
all
the big
open
dome
and
things,
shit.
yep.
Well, that's where they put the soy. So, like the soy that they farm and shit like that, they pack it in these things, and they can just come in and scoop it with a freaking heavy hauler.
Okay, yeah, it makes
and
sense.
take some out.
Yeah, they do with
And-
onions too.
Yeah,
yeah.
and I go, so I'm looking because we're on the dock and it's bored. There's nothing else to do. We've loaded the stuff like twice because we were supposed to go to 2 different places that we never went to. And I'm looking in this thing and there's like dead pigeons everywhere, mixed inside with
And
the
they're
grain
just
and shit
scooping
like
them
that. The
up.
birds are coming in because the birds are coming in. They're eating it. It's blowing up in their stomach. They're exploding and they're dying, and they're just scooping this shit up, shipping it out to go ahead and be
So were
part of
you
the processed
angry-
food.
Were you angry about the birds being in it, or did you feel that in the ingredient contents for soy
They should at least put.
Would you have felt better at that point if it said
Pigeon.
like
May
you know,
contain
less
pigeons.
than 1% of this container has?
I
some
would have been
pigeons?
pissed if it was like 4%, but less than 1 I can deal with. You know what I mean?
What? So I mean, because I want to understand your frustration, so that we don't get it misdirected. Was it you felt like?
Do you know how much cholesterol there is
No, I don't.
in a
I
pigeon?
don't.
So if I'm eating soy to avoid the cholesterol, I want fucking
It's
pigeon
just
in there.
added. So I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
I think there should be more pigeon because soy is fucking disgusting. I'll say this. I'll wrap this one up. We were at Fager's. No, we were at the Angler in Ocean City. Me, my friend Derek, Steve, Mike, his girlfriend, and it's a $5 cover charge. But on Sunday nights, their deck party was $1 rail drinks, which Harpoon Hannah's used to do something called Hump Night on Wednesdays, and it was 50-cent rail drinks. So you just go to the bar. If you say, I want a Captain and Coke, you're paying full price. But if you say, I just want a rum and Coke, 50 cents. Or at the Angler on Sundays, it was $1. So you go there with $10, you got a tray of drinks.
I'd be there 7 days a week.
Well, it's only the one night. For good reason. For good fucking reason. Because it got way out of hand. But I go, I'm like, all right, well, I gotta use the bathroom, and I'm looking, and there's just a fucking line, like someone signing autographs at the door. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna face the bay. Derek and Steve, I need you guys to watch my back, and I just had my little cup, and I pissed in it, and I turn around, and I'm looking for a trash can, and then these girls come up, and they start talking to us, and they're like, what do you have? And I was just like, stupidly, I was like, a Long Island iced tea, you know? And she was like, I have a Long Island. I was like, I got mine from the inside bar, you know, it's different. And she was like, oh, can I taste it? I'm like, no, you don't want it. And my buddy Mike walks up, and he's like, no, it's fine, and like grabs it out of my hand. And Mike was kind of like an arrogant, cocky, self-appointed, like he was a rich kid, and you know what I mean? So like there was this slight moment where I was like, ugh, but then it was like,
Fuck him.
if it's anyone of my buddies,
Let it be him.
let it be Mike. And he drank at least half of it, and he was like, it's warm, not like hot, but it's warm.
Oh my god.
And I was like, and then Steve and Derek started laughing, and he was like, what is it? So I hurry up and I knocked it out of his hand because I knew if I told him then he would just threw it on me.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me unload the situation. And of course, yeah, he got like real pissed about it. But then he was like, at least you've been drinking all night, so it kind of tasted like water. So if you're gonna make someone drink your pee, R. Kelly, just make sure you're very hydrated. You know what I
He
mean?
just got sentenced to prison, right? Didn't
Yes, he
just get,
did.
Like,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
was. So.
He's going away for a long
Yeah,
time.
he's getting peed on now.
I mean, that's hearsay. We don't know that yet.
Oh, you know what's happening.
I'm sure when Netflix picks up that documentary, we'll know.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
but yeah, dude, it was awesome having you. It's cool having like someone else, like their perspective on things, especially someone not, because me and Chuck, we know each other. We know how we feel about certain subjects. So it's good to have like an outsider's perspective on certain things.
Which is what we're always trying to find for the show, and we're always telling people.
I think that's good. I think that's one of the good things. When you have an odd number like that, you always got kind of a tiebreaker. And the first thing comes to my mind is, without really my presence being here, it really, for the listeners and the viewers, it really could have come down to a 50-50. What really is the wrongest color of socks to wear? and
Fuck, 2-1 though. I mean,
2-1. Basically it's fairly simple. Basically, I agree
know-
one sock is wrong.
Listen.
You agree one sock is wrong. mathematically that leaves him with no socks that are right. So if you can't do mathing like you can do reading,
And what I
You
say
just answered
is
that.
it takes an extremely confident man to pull off the Michael Jackson. That's all I'm going to
It's
say.
kind of like the saying 5 out of 6 doctors say Russian roulette is harmless. You know what I mean? Like, listen, enough of us feel that. Here's the thing: we'll get you show socks, so you can wear your white socks anytime. But anytime the webcam's on, we'll just get
I
you
think it
some
basically
special.
says like, look, I've got 15 minutes to get ready. I'm going to use 14 minutes and 50 seconds to get ready, but that last 10 seconds, I'm going to panic. What do I wear for socks? What is closest to my hands? Because of my poor I can pick the right tie. I made sure that my blouse was buttoned up. Check the zipper, good to go.
Hair's
Made sure
nice.
I got my shoes on because you clearly can see anyone's feet in this video.
See what you get?
So
See
you
what
can
you
have
get?
no
This is
shoes
what you
on
get.
whatsoever.
This is what you get for going in the military and making friends from
But
years ago.
this is where you say, you know what? I don't have time to make sure my socks match and that I don't look like I'm putting in for like an amateur clown outfit. I'm kidding. I don't mean to insult your professionalism. You literally look like a business mullet right now.
You're welcome.
So as long as you stay behind the desk, everyone's gonna be like, wow, this guy was really a sharp
It's
dressed
always been my
man.
job.
But in
to
a
set the
fire drill,
standard.
when you have to run out, and everyone's like, wow, I really thought he had it together until I seen him running in his high waters. And I thought it was his legs showing, then I realized it's both his legs and his white socks.
He's gonna stop.
It's like oh, real quick. There's an episode of Cops where they pull over the guy and they're like, all right, sir, you got to get out. And like he's wearing like a trucker hat and like a button-up shirt, like a flannel, whatever. And he gets out, he's wearing like a short skirt. And it's like I did not expect that, you know. And they're like, all right, you're under arrest. And he's like, for the love of God, please let me put pants on. And the cop's like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And they put him in the back of the car.
Absolutely not. Keep that body cam rolling. 'cause
Oh my
we're gonna
God.
be laughing about this afterwards.
Oh my God.
White socks a little bit less dramatic than a little dress. Good thing I didn't wear my
Yeah,
kilt.
no, so you were talking about wearing a kilt beforehand.
wear my kilt
I think
today.
it's a talking point. What makes you pick dress shoes, but white socks? Neither of which will be
I
seen.
keep
How do
telling you.
How do you weigh that out?
My podiatrist said
In case you have to run in your dress shoes, you want athletic socks.
the dyes from the colored socks are not good for your feet.
Just look if you were to wear a kilt.
What?
Horrible plan.
Yeah. See,
Absolutely.
I would have
horrible
sat like
plan.
that the whole time
As
if I was
long as
wearing
the
a kilt.
microphone was adjusted.
I would have
like,
actually moved the pop filter a little
Yeah.
bit,
What
like a
was that?
black
Was
bar.
Was it Austin Powers where like every time the person moved,
They had like
there
the
was something in
melons.
the way of it?
Yep, yep. That's gonna be Chuck's kilt.
Oh my God! Is that the movie?
I'll have to hand this,
John
like,
only made
over
us
to
watch
you.
that movie
As you
once
go to
a day.
stand up or you go to turn around, like here's a
Yeah, here's that pack of golf clubs you wanted or whatever. Yeah. Oh my God.
Wait, let's try to do one of those real quick. Wait, yeah, I got the.
That's what I
glass.
was.
I don't know that a clear glass is. I mean, I think it's a.
If anything, it'll just like reverse the image. It's like, hey, you know, your left ball's on the right and your right ball's on the left, which is actually a medical condition, by the way. That is, they call it bell clapper syndrome.
Oh.
When your testicles swing freely in your nuts, and they can be like twisted around and shit like that.
That can kill you, can it?
Yeah, it can. It can.
That's
but
fucked
I
up.
think it's funny that the official term for it is called bell clapper syndrome, because like you think of a bell.
Did anyone like
It's
just
better
weigh
than
this
monkey
out
symbols.
before
Dude, you
we
got
type
monkey
that in the
symbol.
official medical terminology book? Like, hey, from now on, we need like an audit process, okay? Steve over there, who's like, excuse me, I think that the bow flasher will be. Steve, clearly you're not real socially experienced.
Well-
we're gonna need you to bring.
Well,
the terminology to us.
Joey wanted to call it freaking monkey symbols. Monkey symbol syndrome.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
We took an office vote, and I'm sorry, but bell clapper just happened to win this one. All right,
Motherfucker!
You
I
can
can't
name,
have anything.
You can name the next virus that comes out
We
of
could
China.
get everyone to put in a suggestion in the hat.
Is it anonymous? Is it anonymous?
Yes, I don't know, bell clapper, whatever.
I
There.
got some secret
They
shit I want
pick
to
it.
say.
But hey, if you guys, if anyone out there has bell clappers and you want to be on the show, we'll talk about it.
Come
That'd
on
be
in.
great.
Yeah. Yep.
But other than that, I'm Rob Cologne. Thank you very much for being with us, and thank you for putting up with us. I always want to make sure I tell that to guests. You know, we're not that horrible. You know what I mean?
Whatever.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I
I
don't.
think it's subjective, you know. I mean, I think you know what's good. I mean, what are we comparing? What's good to? Are we comparing that to like sliding, you know, down a razor blade?
That's,
Yeah,
well, it's better than
this
that.
is better than that.
Better than a paper cut.
Absolutely. So I mean, it's
Better than
you
vinegar
gotta
in your
quantify
ass.
things. How you're, yeah.
Chuck wants to bring on a couple that are swingers, and my see
Yeah.
see that
I'll be-
reaction.
That's not my show.
Yeah,
See
he
that
won't-
reaction?
He won't be here for that one. Yeah.
No.
I'm actually gonna go. I was invited to a swingers club, so I'm gonna go down there December, and I'm gonna take mental notes because you're not allowed to have phones in there.
Wear your white socks, just for fun.
I will be having.
Just to get some different opinions. Be like,
I will. I will be sporting the White Sox.
Wait a minute, you can't bring in a phone because of cameras, but if
Right.
you get you
Because otherwise
glasses-
I would do the podcast from there
what if
live,
you?
but I can't do it.
Can't do it live. Yeah, no.
Well, no, it wouldn't have been video. I was just gonna do
Oh,
an
just
audio
audio.
one, like I did when I
You
went
would hear a lot of like.
when I went to Sunny Rest Resort.
People clapping?
Well, no,
It's like
from-
a
no,
what's
listen.
that, like virtual golf in there? Like what's that called?
From what I understand,
Good time.
this one I don't have to
Everyone's
be so
golfing.
nervous about. Supposedly, there's a big open room that's just like a disco. It's normal. You have drinks, you hang out, you can dance, whatever. But there's rooms in the back
Yeah.
where
No, my-
other stuff might happen.
I had a family friend who turned his strip club into a swingers club. I'm very familiar with the concept. I know exactly how they work.
Well, why am I going? Rob, you should be going.
Because I have absolute zero interest in going to a swingers club. I don't want some guy coming up smelling
Listen, you
like
got to learn to
Aqua
make
de Jour.
sacrifices for the show.
Hey, have you ever met my wife here? She's got a lot of miles, but she still runs good. It's like, give me Purell, please. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I still think that gets us away from really what is going to help launch this, and that is where the heck
is the
is the
water.
price of water being driven from, and who owns the international water?
You know what?
I agree.
I'm actually going to make that a post. If anybody knows. Oh, trench foot. It's okay, honey.
Thank you, honey.
I'm
She's
actually
sticking up for me.
I'm going to make a post. And
Who was that?
actually,
Who said that?
That was my
his
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
That's
She's sticking up for me. She's like, you got trench foot. It's not your fault.
I want to make a
You guys
post.
are
I'm going to
bastards.
ask a question on
They're
the
picking on my disability,
page.
and I need a safe
yeah.
place.
White socks does not help his disability. I'm real comfortable in that.
Swingers swing more than one way.
Yeah.
He
see,
just added a whole other dimension to it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's just too many
My brother Les is good for that. Though.
too many caveats I could not control.
Well,
You know what I mean?
She said, "It's okay, honey." Oh, she's being there to be
right? She's
supportive for
She's
you
very supportive.
in your time of being badgered by your friends because of your politics and socks. Bethany, literally help him dress himself.
All right, that's it. God damn it!
All
I'm
right.
about to prove that I still got one in me.
Oh,
Motherfucker.
it's
All right,
hard
guys.
to be serious and fight a guy wearing golf socks.
They're not even golf socks. At least golf
That's
socks
true.
have patterns
There's
on
probably
it.
golfers angry right
I
now.
feel
Like, he
that-
shouldn't have said that. Those aren't golf socks.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna go even further with it.
All right. Well, now he's looking like he's gonna do river dance.
We're gonna go 18th.
You should have worn the kilt. You know?
We're gonna go 18th century now.
Goodness.
Keep talking shit.
Yeah, this is helping the ratings.
Yay!
Hey,
What?
this is
Yay!
like-
Though he on
It's
side.
it's the end of the episode anyway, so hey, if we're gonna end it, we're gonna end it. You know what I mean? But thank you guys for joining us. If you have any idea wait, he might not be asking for his wife though.
What?
Do we gotta talk about something, Chuck? Like,
About what?
he might not be asking for his wife.
Who might be in that? I think he was talking about. I think he was talking about the when you were using that example of the guy's wife. Well, my wife's got some miles on her, but she's still good to go. That we were using it. He was telling you. Maybe he's not asking for his wife, Rob.
See, yeah, too many caveats I can't control. That's it. Too many caveats. I'm out. I'm tagging out. You want to send me to a donut factory or something? Fucking great. No swingers
Dog
club.
donuts. Have you ever heard of those things?
Duck donuts, yeah.
Holy
You
duck
got those? You had
donut.
those in Ohio?
I've never even heard of such a thing until I went and tried one. And let me tell you,
Down in Allentown, I was
Changed my
introduced to
life.
duck donuts.
these things here, ooh,
Homemade.
unbelievable. It's like a donut met Cinnabon, and they
Yeah,
have a party,
yeah.
and it's like fresh off the little donut
Oh,
assembly
freaking
line.
fantastic, man. They make really weird donuts too. Like they'll do like
Oh, my
maple
goodness,
frosting with like
Oh, they do
bacon
the
bits
cake
on
batter
it.
donuts.
Oh, they do all kinds
Oh,
of
they're
shit.
so good. Like regular donuts are okay. Cake batter donuts, man.
Yeah. We gotta stop talking
Yeah.
about them. They didn't pay us for advertising. Fuck them.
Not yet.
But if you go and try one,
Oh, boy.
you'll like it.
So until next time, this has been my friend Ben Cully. Go Army. Love this guy. Rob Cologne, and I'm Chuck Davis.
We'll see you guys.
Take care of each other.
This damn that got it.
How long do I have to hold my thumbs
No,
up?
you're good. This damn mouse. OBS, thank you. Stop streaming. Stop.